let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks. We'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. We're zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way.
Well, hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm finishing getting set up here because I just got a new Mac Mini this morning and I can't remember how to use tiles. I had all my settings on my other one and now I have to reset all my settings and I don't understand anything. Can someone help me find, where's the placeholder button? For the life of me, I cannot find the placeholder button in tiles. No one's gonna help.
Or I'm gonna suggest you help him here, if you can.
Does anyone know? I can't.
What is the placeholder? Just remind me.
Remember. Okay, so here's way. Let's see if this actually works. I don't know if this will work. No, that totally didn't work. All right, hold on. Let's see. No, I don't want that. See, I need to figure out what this is. No, oh, really? Now you're gonna spotlight me when I've got literally nothing on my screen? Just wait a second. Cam link, is that working? No. Yeah. All right. I'm not prepared to. This is a bad day to change my setup. Yeah, I can't show you that screen right now. Apparently, I don't know why. It is
placeholder is the background image.
It's like when you don't have enough people to fill up the tiles, and for the life of me, I cannot find the button. It's just a toggle. But that's not important right now. What is important is that Robert is here.
Good to see you, David.
How you doing?
Missed you guys last week. And thanks for responding to my Discord question. I'm sure we'll come back to this question once we've done the rounds.
Absolutely. We should definitely do that. Speaking of rounds, Mike Latta, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, Mr. Paskin.
Anything
How goes
going on?
things?
Anything exciting?
Nothing too outrageous. But doing good and looking to see what you had up in your mind of why the thumbnail was what it was on YouTube this week.
Wait, what?
Why Mr. Eric was front and center on your thumbnail this week.
Oh yeah.
And how artificial is the flavor?
Did you see the article? No? I'll share it with everyone if you didn't. I'll share it with everyone. Let's begin the rounds. Tony, how you doing? Sorry.
Greetings, sir. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Good to see you again. God, 3 days in a row. This is like I won the lottery or something. I love it. Hey, Jason, how are you, sir?
Doing great, thank you. Good to see everyone.
Yeah. Peter, how's it going?
Not too bad. It's a little warm down here, but we're doing good.
All right. Well, I'm not going to complain about the warmth.
Not given where you are.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ray knows about some warmth.
Toasty. Yep. But I'm also having a little bandwidth or resource issues, so I'm going to be bringing up the logo until I figure it out.
All right. Bye. Hi, logo. There. Oh, look at that beautiful man. I will share why that's there for you. But who else did I miss anyone? I got Peter. I got everyone. All right. So let me find the article here. Oh, you know what? I put it in my calendar so I'd remember, because I thought this was real. Oh, no, I didn't. Did I? Did I stream here? No, I didn't. All right, so let me search for it. The story was in their. Here we go. This. Oh, I'm sorry. This is. Oh, no, here we go. This is back from May 27, 2025, but it happened again recently. And this is Eric from Zoom used his AI avatar on an important investment call. But there was another article where it was a great. There was actually the video of the guy doing it. CEO artificial. What's it? What would? Avatar. See if I can find tech CEOs. No, this is also from May. No, there was one that I just saw. Is this it? AI CEO avatars? I don't know. In any case, I just saw an article and I can't find it now, of course, and I didn't save it for myself. But that they're now using these AI avatars. Is this it? No, this isn't it either. Okay, you'll just have to take my word for it that it came up over my news feed again. We've played around with it. I've had almost zero luck with it. Haven't been impressed by it whatsoever. So, James is here. Hey, James.
Hello, is my audio good and fine, or am I?
Your audio is delightful, James. Absolutely delightful.
That makes me hungry. It sounds like a good dessert. I don't know. I've been thinking desserts, so
delightful audio. That's what we'll call it.
Oh wow, Peter Sargent. I haven't seen you. Just saying hi to everyone.
So what do we have on our agenda, folks, for today? What? Oh, what was it? Let's, Robert. What was the question that you put out? Why don't you share that for all of us?
Yeah, for all of you that join the Zoom Test Kitchen in the meeting in Zoom and start early, we all know that sometimes there are struggles getting the stream up and running to the right place. And I experienced this recently when I was using one of my clients' licenses. And we wanted to stream directly from Zoom because of the overflow that you can define if the meeting gets full. And we had a webinar with over 1,000 people, and we didn't know if more would come. So it was really important that we got that overflow going to YouTube. And when we did the tests, first we were getting error messages until we found out that we were using the wrong YouTube credentials. So we got that out of the way. And then after that, we did the stream and it went into Timbuktu. It just we didn't know where it was going. It was going somewhere, but we had no idea where. And we struggled for a while, and I sent a direct RTMP stream into that account, and it worked fine. And after struggling that for 2 days, someone told us a really simple trick to do. He said, when you live stream and you get the window that opens up in your browser to connect to the account that you're using, you need to clear the cache in that browser account, in that browser. And we cleared the cache, and then it started going to the right place. It seems as if after a while, the cache gets, I don't know, messed up, full, whatever it does, and it just goes off into who knows where. It's scary to think when you think about it, because you don't know where you're sending stuff, but that solved the problem.
Clearing your local cache
In your browser.
in your browser changed where you were sending a live stream?
Correct.
How do you, Jason, how do you set the cache to clear at every browser closing?
Let's assume you're using Chrome. So you go to the settings, and you can find it under history, and you can also find it under cookies, and then there's a link to it under privacy. All three places eventually take you to the same place, and there's a little checkbox that says clear history at browsing, clear cache at browsing. Firefox is something similar. Edge is something also similar because it uses Chromium.
Huh. I'm using the Dia browser, and it doesn't have that yet. This is a little frustrating. I wish it did. That's kind of a nice idea.
Yeah. Also, if you're using a Windows machine, because I can't speak to how you would do it in Mac, but while you're in a browser, if you control function 5, then that forces a refresh. It'll pull down a fresh page. So in the case of this is especially true when you're working with online documents. Google, blah, 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 Microsoft 365. If you made a change and you want to ensure that you're seeing the latest change, you force pull down a fresh page, not one from cache. So that's Control F5.
Control Shift Delete might be easier to remember. It doesn't force, but it gets you there.
Control Shift Delete, depending upon what browser, right?
Well, if you're in Windows, it should.
Okay. Be careful with the shift, because if you Control Alt Delete, then you lock your computer. Little different.
So just coming back to that, that was really amazing for me. And it was someone, a real, a guy who works a lot with making browser apps, who suggested that to me. It's not something I would have thought of at all.
Robert,
There's
how long
actually-
did it take to set up your key in Zoom and all of that to happen? The last documentation I saw recommended 24 hours, but What did you actually experience?
I'm not sure I've understood your question, Jason, but we defined a meeting, a test meeting. We set up the stream immediately after we had set up the meeting and started it. And once we had cleared the cache, it went straight through. So I didn't see that as the area that was causing the issue.
Did you have to set up a new stream key, or this was using an existing stream key to an existing, we'll say, YouTube account?
No, if you connect directly to your YouTube account, you don't actually have to put in the credentials of the stream key.
Okay.
Unless you want to go to a pre-scheduled stream in YouTube.
Well, that's not the way we did it, and it worked. So I'm assuming that we did it correctly, David. If you've set up a stream in YouTube that you want to go to, you need to copy the exact title of that stream and put it into the credentials of when you in Zoom when you're setting up the stream, and then it'll pick that specific live stream that you've set up.
That's
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I always use, like David was saying, I always use a known stream key because I'm going to a pre-scheduled meeting.
Okay, but that's not using the YouTube account directly. That's using an RTMP stream.
Right. Yeah. So let me go through the. Go ahead, Robert.
But the thing about that is the RTMP. If you use that configuration for streaming to YouTube, you won't. The user who comes in, if you have a license of 1,000, the 1,001st user won't get the message that the meeting's full, but you can watch it on YouTube. You only get that if you go directly through the YouTube credentials to stream to. And that's why we were really focused on getting this right.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm wondering. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. I'm gonna see if I can pull up, if there's a way for me to pull up and show people how to do this. No, I can't. Because I'm already live streaming, I can't show it.
Yeah. Well, we can show them in the YouTube studio, but be careful because again, there's information in there that shouldn't be public. Yeah, go ahead.
So the question is, I'm gonna actually start a different meeting from another thing. Let's do this, maybe? Okay. So all right. So here is Zoom. I'm going to start a meeting and then try and live stream it. Okay. Let me turn this off so that we don't get any whatever. Okay, we don't need that. So now if I go here, and what you're talking about is going here, live stream, and then live to YouTube, right?
Live to YouTube, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, which is the integrated using assuming YouTube does not change any APIs and such, right?
Right, so that brings you to you choose your account, and where should I go?
Yeah, don't use the test kitchen right now.
Well, it's interesting actually. What would happen if I'm not going to do it, but we are already live streaming there. Would this just start another live stream?
Well, again, it depends on if you've associated your account with that account.
So I'm using the live streaming app from Zoom, and you do use your credentials. You do log into YouTube over there.
Right. But again, when we're using the custom RTMP,
no, but
Zoom
that's not what
is not using our Gmail accounts.
Right. No, that's
now
not
Zoom is going to.
So the question now is, if I have two meetings on two different Zoom accounts, can I stream them both to the same channel and have two streams running concurrently?
Theoretically, yes, David, because you can have up to 2 live streams running concurrently in YouTube. So I would try it.
All right, let's try it. Okay.
Okay, now stop here. Now you see this first position, Zoom meeting title on YouTube. That's the exact meeting. Don't delete it yet.
Okay.
That's the exact meeting name that you have set up for your live stream scheduled in YouTube. However, if you don't schedule one, it'll pick up the name of this meeting that you've opened over here by default.
Which is what has happened, because this is not a pre-scheduled thing. This is just, my account name, TTG Production, and then personal meeting room.
Yeah, and if you go live here, it'll open a YouTube stream with this name in it.
Okay, but what you're saying is, let's go to YouTube and make sure that I'm logged into the right account.
YouTube Studio, yeah.
Yeah, but first I'm going to go here. Okay, so now we're logged into the right account, and now we're going to go to the studio.
Yeah, just be careful not to show any keys, David.
Okay, I think they're all hidden anyway, aren't they? Create, go live, schedule stream. Let's do live streaming test. Just playing with live streaming from Zoom. Let me copy the title of this so we have it. Okay.
That's the most important, because even if you write it down and you've left a space in the wrong place,
Right.
it's treated as the wrong title. Yeah, so
I'm gonna do it as private just because no one else needs to see it. And done. Okay. So I've now scheduled this live stream. And now if I go back to, oh no, it was here, sorry. Here we go. So now you're telling me that if I put in that,
correct.
it will go live.
No, not yet, because you've got the privacy.
Yeah, make sure the privacy is not public. Make sure it's private.
So all your settings need to be exactly the same as what you're saying.
I would imagine so, because it'd be conflicting if you don't put them the
Yeah,
same.
and chances are Zoom will overwrite what you've done. And
Right.
also make that 1080, David.
Is it 1080 over here?
Yeah. By default it is.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Tell Zoom to do it.
Okay. All right, let's see what happens. Prepare to live stream the meeting. So we'll keep an eye on, I'll put both of these next to each other. Okay.
Is that camera off?
Yeah, the camera's, so
So this is the name of the user.
I'll turn the camera on just so we can actually see it. Let's change the camera. We'll put it like this. Okay. All right. So we're going to have a little bit of a delay here.
Yeah, make sure you mute the player, David.
Yeah, it's muted. Okay. So we're now streaming.
But have you told, I normally, I could be wrong, but don't you need to tell Studio to start the stream?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because over here, there's a setting
That is off.
that's off.
Because you need to set it on. That's what I was about to say, is I normally set those to auto start.
Now, I always do, but so it's not receiving the video. This went to a different.
Slide over again so you can see the true top left of what it's saying. Keep going. No,
Yeah.
Keep. So there's no start button. I'm just wondering if it lost its mind because it wasn't set to auto start to begin with.
Right.
David, you might want to back out of the studio and come back into it again.
Or just do a force refresh.
Yeah.
No, I don't actually think, let me
But it's going somewhere, isn't it?
yeah, see, it is going somewhere, but here's the thing. So the test that I scheduled is here. We went live, but it did not go to the one that we had scheduled.
No, it went to a new one. Interesting.
You made a brand new one. That's 2 point, not surprising. That's what I found in my testing when David wasn't around. And this is also what, David, you found that too.
Yeah, this is, we're gonna try this again. Okay. And so we have this here. Let's go into this. Let me make sure that yeah, see, these are all on for this, the enable auto.
Because you just turned them on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Good call. How the heck do I get rid of this? I don't know. Go away. I just don't want this here. Okay. So this is,
So we always used to use the custom live streaming service instead of the YouTube, but we used YouTube, but we used that setting in in Zoom. But you're saying, and I think it worked for it to
so
it
custom
to,
live, right, custom live streaming works. If you do custom live, that we know. If you do custom live streaming and you grab the key and all the info from a scheduled YouTube stream and put it into there, it works. But it doesn't do what Robert said, which is, what did you say?
It doesn't give the message to the users who come once the meeting's full that there's an overflow. You can't get in, the meeting's full, but you can go and watch, and it'll give a link that you click on and redirect you to
Right.
YouTube.
So
no, I thought it did. That was my question, was I thought it did the 1001.
Not if you're doing an RTMP stream.
all right, so I'm going to try this one more time. Private. I actually don't think that matters, but so here's the meeting. I clicked on the live stream button. It took me here. I authorized. I said, go to Zoom Test Kitchen. That's the name of the stream that I set up, live streaming test. It's private. Let's see what happens now. Oops.
And I don't know, our webinars are always 1000 level, so it's hard for me to test, I think. 200 people.
It made a new one again, David.
Yeah, it made a new one. So I'm not sure, Robert, how you're doing that, how you're using the title to link. I've never seen that before.
Tell me something, with the scheduled one, when is it scheduled for?
It was scheduled for today at 3:20.
And what is the time now?
It's now.
325.
Okay, I don't know why that happened.
I mean, do you think it matters if it's public or unlisted? I mean, it shouldn't.
I wouldn't have thought so. We were doing public, but I wouldn't have thought that would make the difference.
Yeah.
No, now with it giving you the option, David.
Yeah. So I don't know how you're pulling that off. That's pretty impressive. Because
Well, I don't know why it's not working here. That maybe put it that way, because we tested it several times and it was working.
yeah.
Yeah, the API version is always eluded me and has always been dangerous for me because, again, all it takes is YouTube updating something and Zoom not getting to it fast enough. And then all of a sudden it breaks.
When you say the API, is that when you click live stream direct to YouTube? Is that what that?
So in the method that we're talking about that you're just doing right now, that is Zoom has the latest information from YouTube's API.
Okay.
And that's the integration part of it, right? Where the custom RTMP, it doesn't matter if we're going to YouTube or whatever RTMP service, content delivery network that is out there. But again, if Robert, and again, if it stands to reason that Zoom needs to use that functionality for it, for the overflow capabilities for Zoom to actually know that there is that YouTube overflow, that is a bit limiting too, because now you're forcing that overflow to be only on YouTube. So again, if I had Vimeo as an example for my client and then they wanted it on, a more professional, not YouTube, does that integration now work for the overflow?
No, it doesn't. I've tested it. Because you don't have a go live to Vimeo option directly from Zoom.
Right.
You
So
have
what?
you have YouTube, you have Twitter, and you have Facebook.
Is my video awful?
You are looking good, David.
Oh, now it's better. Okay. Oh, now it just dropped down again. Now it's back up again. Now it's great. Okay, sorry. You all had me in no one was looking at my big
I
fat ugly face.
pinged
That's why.
you and you came on.
Yeah,
and
that's why. Okay. Boy, that's just sorry because Dan wrote in the chat, "Hey, why does David look so terrible?" And I mean, he didn't say
lack
that,
of sleep.
lack of sleep. So I opened my statistics and I was only sending 360, but that's because I imagine everyone here was probably in gallery mode or something, some version of that. Okay. I feel better about myself now.
But I think just to recap on that topic, David, what was important for me was that the cleaning the cache in the browser is what resolved my problem.
Well, and I don't understand. Look, I don't know enough about this to understand it, but I don't get how clearing something locally can affect something in the cloud.
No, it is locally because it's the point where you put in the credentials of your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's sending old data.
Yeah. And Dan actually on YouTube, hello, Dan, is asking, is it because, Robert, you're using multiple Zoom accounts possibly? Meaning that because again, that machine was not, you've used it for another client before.
Confirmed that I use multiple Zoom accounts in that way for different clients. Yes, that is. So there were different credentials cached away somewhere.
Right. Yeah. So Dan, I think the answer to you is yes, to a point. So basically, because Robert has used that already, that browser, it remembered the last major connection that he did to YouTube at that point for either a previous client or your own usage.
I would think for some workflow, it would always be good to clear your cache before you streamed. To clear whatever you're using multiple Zoom accounts or whatever. To me, that would just be a normal. We run into people always having issues with corrupted cache one way or the other and many different things. So to me, it would just seem natural. Like I'm going to do a stream. I'm going to clear my cache before I go.
One more item to add to the checklist.
Yeah. David, I'll clean up in the studio the example.
Oh, I already did. I deleted it if you refresh. I think I did. I don't know.
Thanks, David. That was really good to do it online and test it out and see what the outcome is. That's good.
There you go. That's what we do here. Live in the Zoom test kitchen.
David, let me tell you something. I've been working a lot with AI avatars over the last months and producing a lot of material, not live in the way that you're talking about the CEOs doing it, but with both Synthesia and HeyGen generating from text to video.
Wow. And
I just want to focus in on what you said, the live on YouTube. What I found is that those text to audio synthesizers or AI models all have the problem of not differentiating between the pronunciation of a word. Sorry, the what do you call it? The
usage.
No, the phonetic version of the word and the live version. And so I found a phonetic dictionary online. It's the Cambridge Phonetic Dictionary, and you can go in there and, with the live, you'd have to force it to say live So there's a way of putting in live as in LAIV, and you put it in there. Now, that is really cool because you get the right pronunciation in the language that you're writing it for. But if you add captions, you get rubbish in the captions because it's putting the phonetic version in the captions. Because that's the text
You can't.
as. That's not the only problem. The problem also occurs when you do an auto translate, because what they do is they translate the text and it looks at this word that it can't make heads or tails of,
Yeah.
and it translates into garbage. So you get garbage in the translated text as well, which is once again text to speech and comes out as rubbish. And I did this with about 15 languages, because my question was, will I be brave enough, or should anyone be brave enough to get a CEO to record a message and then it's auto-translated and you get these automatic avatar versions in different languages and send it out without it having proof checked? Yeah. And the feedback I'm getting is absolutely no. In fact, my friend from Israel said to me, the Hebrew version is correct grammatically, but it doesn't sound right in the way it's being spoken. That's not the way you'd say it if you were speaking with someone. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Well, I'm just wondering what it would do with a highly technical conversation. I mean, having worked for the IBM company for 40 years, I think every fourth word was an acronym.
Acronyms are disasters.
Yeah. Yet I will tell you from firsthand experience, I went to a meeting in Japan with a client, and it was the acronyms that saved us, because the acronyms were the acronyms.
Right. That they were a sort of a universal language.
Yeah.
Yeah, of the trade. Right.
But coming back to the avatars, because that's what we were referring to, David. One of the things that really impressed me is I've been having these workshops for interpreters throughout summer, where I prep them on tech stuff. Because the thing about interpreters is that interpreters never listen to themselves, so they have no idea how they sound. And the majority of production people will tell you that they sound, I was going to use a swear word there, but I won't. They just don't sound good. And when you've got two interpreters who are switching channels, when they're switching over, one is at this level, the other's at this level, and they don't have a clue because they never listen to each other. Yeah. And anyway, in these workshops, I was using these pre-recorded avatar messages, which is really cool because you can script the message before you generate it, and it's worded exactly the way you want the narrative to be. Yeah? So that is really good. And I think this is going to be the power of these avatars. When you mentioned that the CEO of a company was giving the, what was it, the quarterly?
The quarterly, I think the quarterly results, yeah.
He can have that written out by a PR guy or a copywriter. It'll be perfect. Send it to legal. They'll accept it, feed it in, and it'll generate exactly that text.
Yeah. I don't know if you, if this is something that, oh, here it is. I just found the article. Klarna. So on August 14th, an AI-generated avatar, rather than, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, himself presented the company's second quarter earnings. It was fitting that the digital stand-in promoted AI's benefits, given how deeply Klarna has integrated the technology into personal shopping, internal productivity, and customer service. Yeah. Trying to find, there was a video of this, but I guess it's not available right now. But I wanted to ask you, sorry, that I heard earlier this week that some people are anticipating that with AirPods Pro 3, that's coming out in September, whatever the number is, that we're going to get real-time translation with the AirPods. I'm curious
You can get these small translators for specific languages that you use, and you see people handing them over to each other.
Right.
So that's a technology that exists. I think the challenge, and they're really good for just everyday talking. Yeah? If you're just talking socially. But the trouble is, like Peter said, is when you get into a vertical market and it has no idea what you're talking about.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Hey, Robert.
Real quick, I just want to say hi to Lois and some other friends who joined us. How you doing, Lois?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I have a question later, but I wanted to say, Robert, you're awfully low sounding today. Is anyone else notice that Robert's voice is low? We've got meters.
Oh, we've got meters. That's
Yeah.
good.
To me, it's the sultry, soft, dulcimer tones of
That's
Robert's
really
voice.
nice, but if I can't hear it, I don't know what he said.
It's also late
Okay,
at night. He doesn't want to wake everybody up.
I do apologize. I have been playing with
If
my
it's
stuff. Is it okay now?
better. Thank
Yeah?
you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay, I've run into my first Mac Mini M4 problem. There are no USB-A ports anywhere on this thing, and I have something that only comes as USB-A that I need to plug in.
Dongle.
Dongle, I know.
You must dongle it.
I don't think the dongle is going to work, to be honest with you.
David, I wouldn't go for the dongles. I use them. They are messy. They're loose. They're cheap. They're not really good.
I know. So I have an adapter.
You use adapters. They're
Yeah,
much
it's
better.
not working.
Yeah. Again, it depends on the capability of the dongle or the adapters as well, David.
Yeah.
Because again,
Try.
Yeah, go
I
ahead,
was going
Tony.
to say try the adapter in a different USB-C port.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I got a dongle. I'm going back. If I don't come back in a few minutes, I've got lost in my wires.
We'll take care of it. It's okay.
Because I want to figure out the tiles thing, and I can't do that until we do. Someone talk about something interesting. I'll be right back.
I've got a question. So
Of course.
David said, as I was coming in, he said, "Oh, my image is really bad." I pinned him, and suddenly it got sharp because someone was asking for a bigger image. Well, since most people in here like to look at gallery view, is there a way that David could take his TTG Productions and have one of those machines pin him? Would that work? One of those machines. What?
That would work, and in fact, I did that when I saw that my quality wasn't as good. That's exactly what I did. I went to one of these machines, and I didn't even pin. I just turned it to speaker view, and that's when I saw it jump up. So yeah,
Yours will be jumping up and down as you speak or someone else's speaks because you didn't pin it.
yes, yeah, absolutely. You're right about that. Yep.
But it should also work for that computer just to pin him.
Yes. Yeah. As long as he doesn't spotlight himself.
Yeah. I have a feeling I'm not going to get this working right now.
So one of the
You can
things
do it.
last night on the rundown, and I don't know if it was on the shore or if it was before or after, but someone put in a link in our chat to an Adam Savage analysis of cables, and he had $130 Apple cable, and then he had a $13 and a $3, and they were able to look inside and see what was in there. It was amazing. I encourage anyone who can to go look for Adam Savage looking at cables. It's so cool.
Most people don't realize that true Thunderbolt cables are active cables. There are chips inside both ends of the cable. So David, the way I got around that problem, because I got fed up with it too, is I ended up going to Sataki and getting I have a little, it's about maybe, it's not quite a half-inch thick sliver that slides under. It's the exact same form factor as as the M4, and gives me 3 USB-A ports and actually an SD card reader. Not that I'll ever use that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there is another way I could do this. Actually, I
But
could.
the reality is, I wasn't surprised when I saw that, given that you can't buy a MacBook with a USB-A port anymore.
Right.
So Peter, how is the sliver connected to the device, the main?
There's a little tiny coming out of it, a Thunderbolt cable that plugs into the back of the M4.
So you basically got a dongle.
Well, it's, I think Sataki carries it under their series of docks, but yes.
Mhm.
Because you can also slide in an M2 memory card in it, which gives me a whole bunch more storage for a whole lot less money.
You know what it is? It's a oh, what is it? What are those things called? Links is pluggable. It's a pluggable thingamajig. Ooh, maybe that's the problem. Maybe I didn't download the pluggable thing.
But you didn't. Oh, you're talking about the display port?
Yeah.
Yes, you need to. Yeah, you.
Oh. I've been.
For all the
got-
PC world out here, why do you have to download something so a DisplayPort works?
Exactly. Yes, there is a driver for Mac for DisplayPort. DisplayPort does not come native to a Mac in the operating system.
What it
I
does?
would.
It does on Windows.
Yes.
Okay, don't
For
get
most cases.
with the attitude there. I heard that.
Good.
I guess I'm surprised you didn't clone a working machine.
Oh no, I never do that. No. I start every machine fresh
Okay.
because I download so much garbage on my and I do stuff to my machines. Yeah.
No, I have a different approach, to be honest with you, David, when I buy it, I haven't, when I upgrade, I have one machine like right now that's running Tahoe on it, but it's essentially an unadulterated version of Tahoe. And then I make an image copy of that disk, which I can then restore anywhere I want it, which essentially is the same thing. It's starting it from fresh, but it has my credentials in it.
Fair enough. I don't know how to do that, which is why I just start fresh.
I've been doing that since I think I did my first clone of a machine back in 1976 on a mainframe.
So
Including, Hmm?
Peter, when you do that, if you have to go back, then it totally erases the part that's having trouble in it, puts in that archived one.
Yeah.
But does that mean that all of the work you do, all the things you create, you're storing somewhere else? Because otherwise you could wipe out a lot of work.
Well, no, so what I will periodically, once a month or so, I will take like the machine I'm talking to right now, I will take a full backup of that machine. I don't change it that often anymore, Lois, just so we're clear, right? I don't make that many changes all the time. And I store that copy away as well. So I can fall back to where I was, at least to the most recent monthly backup. I mean, back when I was working for a living, I was making heavy use of offline snapshots of my environment. But And when I say heavy use, probably did the snapshots 3 times a day.
Well, Mac has the time machine,
Right. Well, those are
which doesn't take a picture of the whole device, which I think is very smart. But it does allow you to recover if I wrote a novel and then somehow deleted it, I can go back and get that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a snapshot. That was the snapshot technique I was using. I just don't use it much anymore because I have found that I just don't need to. I mean, to be fair, most of my if I'm doing anything for the Scouts creative writing, it's all sitting on Google Drives somewhere. And frankly, that stuff doesn't work with a time machine.
Right. And that putting it on the cloud is the same thing. It's not on your physical device anymore.
Right. So did that dongle work for you, or are you still working to get the
No, it's
display?
not. No, so it's not the dongle. So now I have Display Link Manager up, and let's see if, because it needs to, and there it is. There it. I'm so happy. There it is. Oh no, that's not it. Wait, no, it is, but it's not mirroring. How do I get it to? Oh, you have to arrange.
That's a nice clean machine you have there, Dave.
It is. But I want it to mirror. How the heck do you get it to mirror? Oh, here we go. Mirror. Bada bing, bada boom, and there we go. That's what it was. So for all of you who may be using a cam link and a display port,
Yeah.
this was the issue. Okay, then.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, David. I solved mine with pure hardware because all the machines talk to a 2ME switcher.
Oh, sure. Right, I'm the software guy though here, so
Yeah.
yeah. So now join meeting info, boom.
So David, are you saying that plugging the plug in actually did work?
Plugging the plug in did work. Oh, sorry, we're getting the. Hold on, I'll change that.
Ooh, that's nice.
Sorry. Plugging the plug
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah, no kidding.
because, but the issue was, I hadn't. I was using a piece of software that required a driver, and I just simply forgot that.
But even even with getting that driver, did you still have to have an adapter?
Yes,
Okay, good.
because there's nowhere to plug it in otherwise.
Okay.
Doesn't that phrase sound strange? I was using a piece of software that required a driver. And if you think in terms of a Tesla, you're using a piece of software that doesn't require a driver.
That's funny. Yeah.
That would be an auto program, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Tony, what you got?
Sorry, Peter.
So I'm trying to figure something out. Everything for me works like it's supposed to. However, I have 4 computers that are in different versions of OS. And I want to be transparent in saying that, David, what you were doing made me think about this. So as Zoom and other applications begin to be updated, first thing is that Mickey Macature would tell me, do not ever update anything on Mac OS. So I'm gonna say that. And so
What do you mean by, what does he mean by that? Don't update anything on Mac OS.
So, well, I'm overstating it. It basically, my audio hijack and loopback, he tells me never to touch that, and never to update the primary Mac computer that has those applications running. So I really don't know how far beyond this particular, my primary machine is in terms of what Mac OS is on it. I mean, I can look it up and see what it is, but I know that all of my computers are on various different levels of Mac OS. And my question is, although everything is working fine now and I have no issues, down the line, will I begin to run into problems, and will I be able to recognize that it's because the OS has not been updated? An example would be the M4 that is, so I have two machines that are exclusively Conversation with Tony Mobley machines. I have an M4 that is running the software that it's shipped in. There are no updates on it. However, the machine that supports it is a M1 8 gig basic machine. And I think it only has 256. And so that machine primarily deals with the music and making sure that it really supports Mimo Live. And then the M4 does all of the Mimo Live stuff. My primary machine is an M1, but it's 16 gigs and it's 512. But as I said, it's probably 4 generations behind on the Mac software. That's the machine that has audio hijack and loopback. I'm asking the question because I'm trying to be proactive, and maybe I'm, worrying about something that I shouldn't worry about. But it just, to me, it seems as if when I update Zoom, is this particular update on Zoom going to break something? And so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well,
Can you guys help me out?
It's going to break something.
it's going
That's
to break
for
something, but let's be clear about one thing, just so you know. If you're on a modern Mac operating system issued in the last 10 years, whether you like it or not, there are updates going on, and the security updates happen in the background and will be pushed. If they want to stop something from happening, they can. They can blacklist software even, right? On any Mac. Apple can do that to you. Just so you know. If you don't manually do if you set the rather system updates to manual, you control when they happen, right? That's because that's what you've done. Right, you set that those M1s to manual update and the M4 to manual update, and they won't accept changes. The risk you always find are certain types of security updates. There were some notable ones a couple of years ago that, day zero security updates that they actually had to push very visible operating system updates to go out. That's one thing. The other stuff, you're always at the risk of, it can happen either way. You could take an update to Zoom and Zoom will say, I wouldn't expect Zoom to do this, but they could. Interesting programming practice. They could rely on, say, a change to the API in Tahoe. And they say, you must have Tahoe on your machine for this version of Zoom to run. Conversely, if you update to Tahoe, something could break, which is the problem with audio hijack and loopback, right? That's the problem you run into with because they're relying the ARC. Robert, I'm trying to remember. I think it's called ARC now. The plugin that they have to install when you install audio hijack and loopback. There's a funny thing that when something needs to be updated, and they're going in and looking at some very specific low-level APIs and stuffing it in front of it, and they need to know what version of Mac OS you're running on.
Okay.
So
Lois and then Robert.
I have used Mac forever, and what I have found is that when I am deciding whether or not I'm going to upgrade my Mac operating system from this thing to that thing, I can go and check on what's going to break. And in the community, in the Mac OS community forums, there will be people who talk about, well, I did this and that doesn't work anymore. You can go to if there's a particular, application that really is essential for you, you can go to the maker of that application and say, what do I have to have? I'm thinking of doing this and what will happen? So unless you end up like I did with apps and programs that were so old, the company was out of business, they weren't being supported, no one was there to ask questions of. And so I simply kept one old machine that could do that particular thing because I really wanted that. And this was many years ago. But I don't think you'll have much problem. Let me rephrase that. I don't think you'll have any problem on having 4 different machines running 4 different operating systems because you don't have one machine controlling something on another machine. And so the fact that that something isn't compatible with the operating system on a different machine doesn't really matter. If it works on the machine that you're on, then that's the machine to use it on.
Right. The challenge for Tony with 4 different machines and different operating systems is knowing what software works on what operating system. And there are things that break. I keep getting oh no, it's actually this computer. This computer is not upgraded. This one is on the new Sequoia. This one is not updated, but I keep getting a pop-up that one of my apps needs to update and it can't because it's just not compatible yet with something or other. Robert, go ahead.
Tony, I think Peter, Lois, and David have actually said the essential thing that I wanted to say to you is that I would not worry about being on the same version of the OS on all my machines. And I have a similar situation. So, but what I look at is what apps are running on that specific machine and are they compatible with the OS that they're running on? So when Mickey talks about hijack and loopback, he knows that there are limitations and there are changes that will happen if you upgrade. So I would listen to him and say, okay, that machine that's running audio hijack and loopback, leave on that version that it is, don't touch it. If you're using Mimo Live, it's very easy to ask Oliver to confirm that a new version of the OS will keep it running. When I wanted to upgrade my Mac Minis that I run Zoom Tiles on, and Zoom Tiles is effectively Zoom Tiles, I actually got in touch with Luminol and I asked them if they can just confirm that they've tested Zoom Tiles on this version and that it's stable. And they came back and said yes. And only then did I upgrade. So I wouldn't worry about being on different versions. The only thing which what David said is tricky is knowing what is where. I've actually got labels stuck on the front of the Mac Minis with the operating system version and the apps that I have running on those specific pieces of equipment. And that's like a library card. It just gives me a condensed overview of what's in that box.
I will say that one other area where I had problems a couple of years ago was in my Mac Pro. I have one of the DeckLink Duo cards in it, and the drivers for that suddenly decided to fail miserably. And it was painful, let's put it this way. Fortunately, I had that backup disk I talked about, Lois, that allowed me to fall back to the level of Mac OS that worked with the DeckLink cards.
You had that version, you had that backup. Not all of us do. And running back to a previous version of an OS is not a simple job at all.
You know, I mean, I hate to admit it, but you know, it's my ancient mainframe things that were beat into me historically that you do around computers. I mean, it is ingrained into me. My kids think I'm nuts, but they don't understand. They've never had a business critical application go sideways on you.
It's like the folks who lived through the Depression. Yeah, they know how to deal with that sort of stuff. So I something that you said really rang a bell with me, and that is knowing what programs you have running on that computer. Well, in my case, it's the computer because I have one. But my computer's having problems. I called up the Mac folks and talking to someone, what about this and what about this? And then he said, well, do you have any third-party applications on there? I nearly laughed my head off. Almost all of my applications that I use are third-party applications. And so he thought it would be a real good idea if I removed all those third-party applications and then see if everything worked again and then add them back one at a time, which is, it's a great diagnostic tool, but there is no way that a normal person is going to do that. But what I did figure out is to go through the list in the apps, and Mac has an apps folder, and go through all of those things and figure out what they were. And there were a lot of things in there that were downloaded in 2006. I must have had a spurt of curiosity or something. I'm not using them. If I'm not using them, I'll delete them. But knowing what I had was that was a good exercise to do. And if Tony knows what he has on which of those 4 machines, that would be a real challenge for you too, Tony.
Well, the thing that I would say is that the M4 is primarily an appliance. From the standpoint, it really is a basic machine, and not a basic machine. It's an M4, 16 gigs and 512, but it has Mimo Live on it primarily, and I do some YouTube streaming and Apple Music for worship service, but it does nothing else. There's nothing else on it, on that M4. And as I said, it only has the OS that it's shipped with. And so that's that. The other machine that I'm using with Conversations is a basic machine, and it doesn't have very much on it either. But its OS is probably 3 or 4 generations old. And so those 2 machines work together, and Cadillac West Waterman would be able to talk about what is on the older M1. But as I understand it, it's primarily has to do with bringing in music and connecting remote TDs for Mimo Live. But now I have a laptop that's connected to the ATEM, and it has the latest OS on it, but I don't have any. I'm not using it as a machine for anything other than a device to bring into a Zoom meeting or Mimo Live. So it's a content machine. But then the oldest machine is the M1 with all the stuff in it, and it has audio hijack and loopback, and it has Mimo Live in it, and it has the Zoom, the Stream Deck software, and it has everything on it. But it has not been updated. It's probably 2 OS old, and I haven't done anything with it. And I'm constantly getting these pop-ups. It's time to update, but I'm ignoring them because I'm hearing Mickey Macature say, "Don't do anything with it." So
Yeah,
I would just.
It's time to turn off your notifications on that machine.
It doesn't matter if you turn off notifications. It'll still tell you that. It's the way the
Oh.
Mac.
It's,
And
yeah.
And-
I would also say, Tony, I mean, what Mickey is professing, and it's a valid thing to profess, is if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's, that's the basic sense. The thing, and again, I pay attention. So applications, there are applications and there are applications. So applications, whether it be loopback, audio hijack, the deck link interface for the Blackmagic cards in my Mac Pro. Those are, while we call them applications and they show up in the application folders, they modify the system. Simple as that. And you need to know that. There are those types. Then there are types like Mimo Live. I've had Mimo Live break on a system update. It wasn't the system update. It was when I talked to Oliver, it turns out he was trying to work around a problem that the system had. And then Mac came along and Apple came along and fixed the problem, right? They knew they had an API that was broken, and they finally fixed the API, and that caused Mimo Live to break because it was trying to work around a broken API. That was back in the days of Quartz, the Quartz Composer stuff. There are those type, and then there are really simple stuff like, your word processor. If you're using, well, I don't know about you, but most of my stuff is done online on the web. The browser's going to work, and if the browser doesn't work, you have a more basic issue. Frankly, it's not an updated. As long as it continues to the browser's updated with the system and it's locked with the system. So at least the basic Safari is. Let's put it that way. If you're using Chrome, Chrome is going to update whether you like it or not. That's the other thing to remember. Some of those out there, Chrome will update whether you like it or not. Period.
Yeah, I'll throw Firefox in there too.
Okay, I don't use Firefox. I use Chrome and Safari. So, but you get my point, Mike. Is those third-party browsers now are very proactive. They don't even give you a vote.
Right. And again,
Firefox, you can prompt. It won't automatically do it. You can set to prompt.
Oh, can you? Okay.
But I think Mickey's suggestion is the fact that it's a production machine.
Right.
Like you said, this machine is only being used for your show, and that's why you don't touch it, because it's like your production goes the full season. It's not just I started today's session. It's if something breaks, you're going to call Mickey, and Mickey's like, I've already fixed it once, so don't leave that one alone. And I think, like the updates, and I think maybe Lois said it, but those machines are production machines, so they're not, your notes aren't talking to the other notes of the other computers, and the application notes, and all the other kind of system-wide things that are talking to each other, and new updates and new AI features. You don't want that happening in the other computer anyway. So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are very few things that I know of in a Mac world where you're talking API to API across the network where the two APIs have to agree. Right? I mean, it's not like in my days in the mainframe world where I was doing memory sharing between two independent machines.
So, Peter, what's an API?
Application programming interface. So that is how you talk to a given application if you're programming. The operative word there is if you're doing the programming, right? And then you'll hear the phrase, some people use them interchangeably, but they are not interchangeably. System programming interface, which are the next level down. If you're writing something that has to write to the system. So the example I would use is audio hijack or loopback or the Blackmagic deck link controllers, controlling software. that has to know exactly how you talk to the operating system itself. Those are the system programming interfaces. The application programming is, say, we were looking at one earlier, weren't we, Robert, where we're trying to figure out how to talk to YouTube. So that was Zoom using an application programming interface that in theory YouTube keeps relatively stable. I used the phrase in theory, Mike. I did say that, in theory.
I know. Just for everybody on YouTube, I was crossing fingers when he said that.
Go hug your favorite tree, Mike. Those are two applications talking to each other, right? And that's it could be as simple as a message that says a three-part message that you send in clear text. It could be hi, and then the next field with Lois, and the next field is Mike, and that would say send a message hi to both Lois and Mike. If you had a program that would accept that application programming interface, you could actually send the message. I mean, it's simple stuff, but it can be very powerful. But they have to agree. Like I say, Oliver, I remember having a conversation with Oliver when I had that particular problem with whatever was before Sequoia and Mimo Live, and it turned out he had botched an interface between, it was actually a system programming interface that he had tried to work his way around a problem, and it didn't, and he was successful. And then the next point release of Mac OS fixed that problem because it was a reported bug. So heaven forbid they fix a bug. And that introduced an incompatibility which caused Mimo Live to break. A specific part of Mimo Live to break, believe it or not.
David, can I just say an API joke?
Before you say the joke, Robert, I just want to say thank you to all of you for the responses.
I would, sorry, and I just want to say to Tony that as a fellow man of faith, you should just have faith that all the operating systems will work. That's what I do. I mean, Zoom in the beginning, Zoom Test Kitchen is beginning, and I'm installing a new computer. Like, just have faith, brother. It'll all work out.
And I know where you can go to pray. Yeah, lots of praying there.
Lots of praying.
Yeah, but in your situation, Tony, yeah, you're very applianced setup. So leave the appliances alone, and maybe if you do have a spare one, play with the latest stuff.
Let's have a joke.
API joke. API time.
But this is an API joke, so we need to wait for Peter to come back, because I think Peter may be the only person who really, really enjoys it. But let's see. I'm not going to put it to assume that everyone else won't. Peter, why did the API go to therapy? We can't hear you.
His microphone's off.
I have no idea.
It had an identity crisis after being called by too many clients.
Oh, David with the effects in the background.
So
look at that new Mac doing well.
Just for humors, everyone, somebody asked about application or system programming interfaces, right? So, I don't know, this book, right? Now I want you to, if you could read the title. That was
reference library. Yep.
That was published. These are a set of APIs that IBM has used on its mainframes literally since the middle 60s. They still work unchanged today. Why? Because they don't want to break the applications that run on mainframes. So those are, and Microsoft is notorious the same way. They hate to deprecate APIs. That's why you have a lot of cruft on it. Mac OS is a little bit less or a little bit more prone to change things release to release.
Well, that's because in the Mac, you don't have to manage outside entities, outside applications and programs, because they make so many things built in my opinion.
Yeah.
Peter, that SPI stuff, does that mean you're a spy and have been a spy for 40 years?
And that's SPY. I was an SPI.
IY, same thing.
Aye. And even Tulloch was making a comment about, he says, the same, he was talking about the core audio on a Mac OS has been very problematic for years. And Tulloch did make the comment, he says, only Tony's second Mac Mini, we deal with core audio crashes all the time because it was upgraded. So I don't know if that was Tulloch picking on Tony there or not, but anyway. I thought that was kind of, yeah, Tony's laughing, so he knows about the situation. Cool.
Yep.
All right, so Stephen has been waiting patiently. He's got a question for all of us out here from YouTube. He's saying, how do I use Zoom avatar like IG does, Instagram? And he also has a follow-up to that.
David's
so
the
like
only person
IG
who's done
does, I'm
that
not sure
so far.
I understand the IG part.
Instagram.
No, I know what IG stands for.
Okay.
But I
What-
guess, go ahead.
Yeah, what he's looking to do is he's looking to make videos. He's looking to make Zoom clips using the Zoom avatar,
Okay. All right. Well,
which I think you've tried to do before, David, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, no, we did that before. So this is, so if you go into your Zoom application and go to clips, there is Pro Mouse, Cursor Pro. Okay. There is up here, create with avatar. And what do you get, 3 a month? Is that what it is, of the custom avatar? So there are a couple of different ways you can do this. You can choose one of their avatars. So let's see, Maya. I could be Maya or Alex. Oh no! I didn't want to do that. I'm definitely an Eli. I think I'm an Eli. Let's preview Eli. Let me make sure you all will be able to hear. You should be able to hear him.
Welcome to Zoom Clips. This is a preview of our predefined avatar, ready to deliver your message with clarity and confidence.
Boy, that really isn't good at all. Okay, in any case, so you choose one of these avatars. You can choose the background, put him in the background. Now let's put him back there. You can choose translation if you upgrade your license. Or the other option is you can do your own. You can build a custom one. And so to build a custom avatar, when you click that, it brings this up. And then you're going to have to go ahead and show it your face and stuff like that. And we've done that once before. I'm not going to do that again. I'm happy to show you what happened. It wasn't inspiring to me at all. But you can create with avatars, 3 minutes remaining. That's how much time you get. So let's get a script here. So let's give me a script.
David, but I think the question was, how do you make that from clips? So if you've got a clip, how can you make an avatar representation of a clip, is the way I understood it. Or maybe I got it wrong.
Wait, say that again.
Mike, can you just read the question again? Maybe
Sure.
I got it wrong.
Yeah. He's saying, I need to make videos with Zoom clips, but I want to use avatar looking like me.
Oh, okay, sorry, I got it wrong, David. I thought he wanted to make an avatar video from a clip, a Zoom clip.
Okay, so let's, oh God, it's still going? Okay, I just wanted
Welcome to ChatGPT 5.
Yeah, hello. All right, so there's my thing. Let's create the clip.
That could be a conversation too later.
This is going to count against my minutes? I have no
Yes.
idea how long. Okay. So All right, so this is working. Here is this? Yeah, this is the one that we made with that was real. Hello and welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. My name is David Paskin, and I'm joined by an amazing group of Zoom experts here in the kitchen. Let's go around the room and say hello. Mike, why don't you start us off? Hello and welcome. Whoops. So there are two problems, if you ask me, with Zoom avatars. Number one is for the custom avatars, they train on your voice and they train on your image, and at this point, it's not great. Like the intonation, the voice modulation, all that stuff just really isn't there, if you ask me. And also you can see the Zoom Test Kitchen. My name is David Paskin. I mean, and I'm joined by an amazing group of Zoom experts here in the kitchen. Big problem with my lip. Let's go around the room and say hello. Mike, why don't you start us off? And I do that weird thing with, maybe I just look that way. I'm not entirely sure it did a terrible job there, but the audio was not great. That I know for sure. Let's see if this new one is done. It's still generating, so 23% done. So this is how you can do it, right? You can either put the text in, have an avatar do it, or train the model on you. Again, put your text in, your script in, and then it will just generate it for you. Or you can just record the video. I mean, it seems to me that the amount of time that it takes to do all that extra work, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's worth it, but.
And David, you might want to let everybody on YouTube know how you did your waiting room video. Was that using? So
the waiting room video, no, that's all Tony's fault. So
Tony Mulby.
Yeah, the waiting room video, because I was so I loved some of the stuff I was seeing from him. So that is an app called Lemon Slice, which in my limited experience does not do a good job with actual faces, and like my actual face, it did not do a good job with that, but does a great job with little characters. So I created the character over in OpenAI, I think, and then you give it the character, you give it the script, and it then makes the video for you.
This is generating from a.
Hi there, David here. I'll be there in just a second. I'm just tidying up a few things.
No, wait, that wasn't the real one. Hold on. Where is the one that I did? Huh. I'm trying to I don't know where the one that I did is.
It's in the waiting room, David.
It's in the waiting room, I know. Oh, here it is. Sorry. So here they are. Hi there. Welcome to my Zoom waiting room. Real excited to see you. Just give me a couple seconds. This is the one for my regular Zoom waiting room. I love this. I don't care that people say it doesn't look like me. I think it's just freaking adorable. And Lemon Slice is cheap. It's like $7 a month or something. And like I said, it's with human. I mean, I don't want to use it. Hi there. Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. Please make sure that your Zoom name is your real name. We hope you brought your experience and your questions. Don't forget to mute yourself when you aren't speaking. And remember, we're live on YouTube. See you in a minute. I mean, that's really pretty good, I think.
I think it's really cool. In fact, I like that so much that when I get into the Zoom Test Kitchen on Fridays, I get stressed out when I see it because I don't want you to let me in too quick because I want to watch it till the end.
Oh my God. No, it's fun. So this is called Lemon Slice. That's where let's actually go to the, I wonder if
I don't need nobody. I don't feel nobody. I don't call nobody.
That's pretty good, actually. That's not bad.
David, did you see the announcement that YouTube has stopped monetizing videos that are generated in this way? And
really,
yeah, because the content, they can identify that the content is AI generated, and they've stopped monetizing it to allow, because you can imagine that as a business and that when they're training their models, they don't want everyone sticking in models into data that's already AI generated, because they can't feed their models with AI generated data.
Why can't they feed their models with AI generated stuff?
It's like speaking to yourself, and it'll be
It's just
looping itself.
reinforcing. It's reinforcing what people want.
Is this real? Here we go. July 15th. Okay. Targeting low effort and repetitive content. I'm sorry, but working with AI is not low effort, like at all. To get something really good out of AI takes a tremendous amount. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just I don't like that at all. But okay. So what's the here we go. While the update rules bring changes to consent, okay, that's the same. Continue reading. Reused or borrowed content must be significantly transformed through editing, commentary, or original input, and repetitive content, like AI-read scripts or slideshow videos, must provide educational or entertainment value beyond just garnering clicks. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of content on YouTube, David, that is misleading.
Well, sure, but I mean, how do you judge whether something is educational or entertaining?
Did you laugh?
Well, that just seems like they've left it wide open.
Ridiculous.
They've left it wide open. I don't see how they can. I don't know. I don't see how you can enforce that. There's another change, by the way, in AI ethics rules from Meta, which we're going to talk about next week on the rundown a little bit. They just updated their AI ethics policies, and it's not pretty. They did some really ugly stuff there. But getting back to the videos and the cute videos.
I'm off to school, hooray, hooray, friends and games all through the day. ABC and 1, 2, 3, school is where I love to be.
All right, we got the new theme song, David. I just heard it right there.
I can't get enough of this stuff. So, moral of the story for me is that characters work better than live faces. That's my experience. Lemon Slice is this one, and then the other one is just in Zoom.
Is Lemon Slice an app or a website or what?
It's a website. It's is it lemonslice.ai? I don't remember. Let me grab it for you. I'm sorry, I did not think to mention that. It's lemonslice.com. Lemon Slice, and like I said, it's what sort of blew me away is I'm on a subscription. What's my subscription? I'm on a subscription of $8 a month. $8 a month. I should probably stop my subscription because I haven't used it since then. But I mean, $8 a month is sort of insane for the capability that you get. So, oh, here's our avatar. Okay, he's back. He's done. Let's see. Oops, sorry.
Hello there. I'm here to help you run a quick test. Don't worry, nothing too complicated. We'll start with some calm, conversational lines so you can get used to my voice. How are you doing today? I hope
The lip sync is terrible.
That just the whole thing is awful. I'm sorry. That's just.
Hey, look at Tony.
Yeah, Tony is his
feeling ready because
this
we're about to put this avatar through its paces. Let's begin with something simple and friendly. It's so nice to meet you. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm consistently blown away by the voice in ChatGPT. in 4.0. I think the when you're speaking to it, I think the voice in 4.0 is just amazing. It takes breaths, like it's really, this to me is not great. Tony, say hi.
Hello. This is the avatar that inspired David to go on his road trip with AI. This was actually created by Ken Jordan. I just want to play a little bit of it. Hey there, wonderful people. Tony Mobley here with exciting news. Next Wednesday, April 16th at 8 p.m. EST, our dear friend Liberty White returns to the show. You've loved her in our previous conversations about children's media, technology trends, and that fascinating AI discussion. Yeah, I'm going to stop it there. Yeah, I just wanted to, I just wanted to share that.
But I guess David and Tony, I guess my observation is kind of what you were saying, that with a caricature avatar, it can figure out how to do lip sync. And for some reason, it doesn't seem to be able to do the lip sync on a.
It does seem to do better than the actual image of a person to me.
That's not my experience with Synthesia and HeyGen are actually pretty good when it comes to lip sync. But I have recorded my voice in there and I've given it a picture. The issue that sorry, not the issue, but the challenge when you're using these avatar generation apps is that they will record a sequence of movements for approximately 8 seconds, and then they repeat them. And in order to do this really professional, and this is something that I got from Courtney Goodens on Office Hours, you generate your 8 seconds, and then you take the last frame out of that, and you regenerate the movement from that last frame. And so it's a continuous next movement, and then you won't have repetitive head movements, eyes opening and closing, and you get a very clean and more natural. So there's a way to do it. And the challenge here is now to automate grabbing that last frame and regenerating the next 8 seconds, and grabbing the next last frame and regenerating the next. And then you can actually make a longer video that makes sense. Like I said, I've been working with them, and the lip sync is ideal. It's perfect. I don't have an issue with the lip sync. It's the repetition of the eye movements and the head movements that gets to me.
I wonder if at Zoomtopia, if Zoom is gonna, I'm sure they will, double down on the AI and all the different ways that they've integrated it. Go ahead, Lois. We can't hear you. You look very animated, but we can't hear you.
He's gone. Ray's gone. But he had the thing up with the Zoom Test Kitchen logo, and then there was this picture with an artificial. What was that all about? Is that our new logo?
Over to you, Mr. Paskin.
You mean the thumbnail from this week's show?
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Why,
you missed the first 5 minutes of the show, Lois.
I certainly did. I apologize. I'll go listen on YouTube.
No. It's just, it was just because there was another article popped up that CEOs are using avatars to give their quarterly earnings calls instead of doing it live. And that was a picture of when Eric, the founder of and CEO of Zoom, did the same thing back in March.
Okay.
Artificial flavorings, because it's artificial. Get it?
Yeah. I'm glad I was late today.
Oh my gosh, you're so mean. Hey, John. Hi, Jan. How you doing? Good to see you.
Say hi to David. Help him.
Yeah, help me out. Actually, I don't need help because I have to leave a little early today, so I'm handing over to Mike.
Well, I'll
Hey,
say
David.
hi. My latest
Good to
toy
see
is
you.
my new mute button, which I'm having fun with.
Wait, your what? Say that again?
My new mute button.
What's your new mute button?
It's called a stream announcer. And
Show us. What? Come on. You can't keep looking down and then not show
I
us.
got to see if I got to you. It's going to be upside down.
Ooh.
Its claim to fame is it has mic and auxiliary. And so we'll do a test. I'm going to count to 10 and you could see whether you hear me muting or not. Am I in here? And do you have a VU meter? I guess I'm pretty close. Am I close enough? Okay. So I'll count to 10, but I'll be muting and unmuting. 1, 2, 5, 6, 10, 13, 14. So that was me muting and unmuting.
And
Should
that's
be-
exactly what I heard.
This is an expensive mute button.
No, it has much more than a mute button. It also has an auxiliary button. So if you're using space,
It has 2 buttons.
two for the price of one, it's getting better. 2 buttons. And so if I press the auxiliary button, which I'll say I'm going to press the auxiliary button.
And
But
it muted
actually,
you.
when I did that, it muted the program mic, but it let me talk to either Unity or whatever. It also has a VU meter. It has a indicator when I push mute, a big red light shows up on the little screen. And it helps people who aren't good at setting their gain level. So when you get into the automated mode, the first thing you do is it tells you on the little screen there to yell into your mic. It's very, very soothing. It gets one's anxieties out. Then it says now speak into your mic at your normal voice level, and it automatically sets the gain for you. I'm in love with this little device. It has it does not have phantom power, so I'm using a dynamic microphone rather than my normal condenser microphone. And it does have a headphone output jack, but it does show up as 2 standard audio, whatever the initials are for the standard audio interface, but it shows up as 2. So you could send both. You could control where you send your program and where the program comes back. And you control where you send your auxiliary and what auxiliary program comes back. And I'm not connected with the company. I met them at NAB. Jonas, I think, worked with them to help design it. And it's just a great little device, well built.
If you're using back channel, that's fantastic. It really is.
The other thing that I noticed, John, is we didn't hear the clicking of the buttons when you muted, which was really nice.
Yeah, no, you don't. I played with it. We're going to do our use is in the back channel as much as we need to talk to our divers. So this is a very easy way. And we had comms with this is with the California State Parks when we do electronic field trips. So we had a person on the air and they had to give warnings to the doctors, the divers, or say something. And they weren't very good at making sure they muted their mic at the same time they talked to the divers. And not that they said anything bad, but it's just, boy, these kids are jerks. Oh, wait a second, was I on mute? So now we know when they talk to the divers that it's going to mute their program.
This type of technology, again, John's bringing the broadcast world into the Zoom world of, these have been popular for the most part with the back channel, and the primary mute is been for radio broadcast, usually of sports events. So this would be very easily in a press box where the sports commentators for radio would be up there and they would be muting and unmuting and talking to the, back to the radio station on the aux, like John was talking about. And then the main one would be the one that actually be going out to the radio. Go ahead, Lois.
Like Mike, that you gave me credit for bringing Zoom to broadcasters. I'd like to do a disclaimer. Zoom's been doing that on their own and very effectively. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Lois.
Okay, so this is a total change in subject. How would one know if they're in a Zoom meeting like this? How would you know if the people that have their videos off are really people or are they recording bots? How would you know?
Good question. Over to the panelists.
Obviously, if I can see your face, I know you're you. well.
Well, I would guess part of it would be, do you just allow anybody to record? Because in order for it to record,
No,
a recording bot, they have to be granted permission to record.
no, they don't. We talked about this on one of the rundown shows, and it got back from folks who knew about it that the things coming in do not have to have permission. They can just
Well,
do it.
I don't know. Zoom says they have to have permission.
It's not a Zoom recording. That's the point. This bot can come into the meeting and they can record the whole thing without going through Zoom.
Well,
that has nothing to do with the Zoom, and they're doing it. Anybody can get a screen recorder and record.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new about this, even though like office hours doesn't want certain days recorded. If somebody is savvy enough, they know how to do a screen capture into a recording. So this is not something new. They don't have any sort of blocking like you do with copyrighted materials to prevent a recording from doing the recording.
And I get all of that. And I know that any one of you, if you really wanted to, you could go in and you could illegally record us. But I'm not too worried about the humans. My question is, how do we know if one of those squares is not human?
I guess the question I want to know, Lois, is what's the difference? Why do you want to know that? Why do you care?
In this particular event that we're in, I don't, because we're streaming to YouTube. Everybody can see it. It's public and everything. But if, for example, let's say there's a class and people are required to be in that class. And so in the school, they're going to check off, were they there? Were they not there? If it's not a person that's there, but it's a bot that's there, it would be nice for either the teacher or the school to know which is which.
Well, that seems policy wise in terms of, teachers and seeing the people in the class. And I think they would require it. I mean, like teachers. But what I was saying before though is like read AI because we've had issues with that. That people were giving it permission to their Google account, which means that Read AI would look at their Google Calendar and say, "Oh, here's a Zoom meeting. I will join it." And Zoom's rules on the AI things say that the host needs to give Read AI permission or it has to leave. That's Zoom rules. So, I think in some way, like what you were saying, is that's how we know that it's not a non-person.
And so my question is still there. I hear you saying if you know what it is, then you can deal with it. But how do you know what it is?
I know how to prevent it. I know how you can prevent that from happening. It's the way, like, no, I'll tell you how Thailand does it. For your driver's test in Thailand, you have to watch a video, and every so often, and you don't know when it's going to happen, they're going to stop the video and they're going to give you a poll question that you have to answer. And if you don't answer that poll question, they cut you off immediately. They give you X amount of time, like a minute or 30 seconds to answer that one question. And if you don't, you're out and you have to start again from scratch. So that's the only way I can see that you can guarantee it, because a bot that's recording it won't have the ability to answer the question that you're going to ask. Other than that, you really don't know.
Hey, John.
Yeah, I taught for many years, primarily online courses. And I think James had it right. The issue is it's a policy question. So where I had classes where attendance was required, there were many options and ways that I could assure that somebody was there. In fact, I was much less worried about people who weren't there, but they were recording it, But if they did that, at least showed some energy. I was more concerned with those people who physically showed up in class and pretended they were there, but their mind was completely gone.
Hey, Robert.
You know, I've actually had this problem on one of our large meetings. And the problem is that, am I still low, Lois?
My hearing isn't that great. And yes,
Okay, I will
Yes.
wind myself up a bit. We've had this problem and it really hurt us because we defined the webinar in such a way that only one person gets in per link. So you had to register and only one device was allowed in per registration. And so these devices were coming in through that viral system that James was talking about through Google Calendar, taking up the slot, and then people couldn't get into that meeting because their slot had been taken up. Now this is an issue, okay? And of course we found out because people were saying, we're being told that we're already in the meeting, but we haven't logged on yet. So we can fix that, just get a different email address and allow them to log in, give them a new registration ID. But what Jan just said is actually a really clever thing to do, is just put up a poll and say, if you don't reply to this, we will throw you out. The challenge here, which probably John Drinkwater can solve, is having an app that will pick up all of those people who didn't respond to the poll and throw them out.
I've got one already.
So is there a way that one could have something, say, in the waiting room that someone had to reply to, that a human would know to reply to, but about wouldn't? And might that be a way to screen?
I've got that already as well.
Oh, John, tell us about it.
Okay, I'll tell you about it, but I'm going to give you a little lesson first. Answer a few of the questions that have gone around here. Yes, anybody can screen scrape what we're doing. Anybody can capture the order of what we're doing, and they can then use it for whatever, good or nefarious, but they can do that. In the Zoom world, there are two things which should be limiting this. The first one is, as has been said, if they are proper apps written for Zoom Marketplace, then they have to get either the streaming or the recording feed. And in the case of Read.ai, it uses the streaming feed, and that's how it gets its data. And there have been comments on the community forums about people complaining. They keep seeing this pop-up coming saying that the thing's being live streamed. Then, of course, when it gets back to Read.ai or whatever, whoever's using it, they say, oh, don't worry about that. Well, do worry about that, because it means that those reading apps are using the streaming version to get the data. So that's the issue about them. The other thing that Zoom Corporate would obviously like me to mention is that you can set in your event settings a little, what would you call it, an overlay, so that every single recording that goes out to every single person has their name on it. So if they copy that and use it elsewhere, you would see who it came from. After saying all of that, let's go back to the main point that I could be using Camtasia now, and I could be screen recording the screen, and there's no way you or Zoom would know because I'm doing it on my computer. And I'm sure quite a few people who are much more clever than me could create bots that could come in and could get the data without being, how we can put this politely, well, without going through the proper Zoom channels and just coming in as a bot and reading the data. And they might look like a proper bot to Zoom, and unfortunately bots to Zoom look just like normal people, because that's the whole idea, to have them the same. There's no way of differentiating for those at the moment, and that doesn't mean that you know whether or not they're recording, because they can do this screen scraping and audio scraping. So yes, So my app wasn't really written or isn't really written, designed to do this, but I was looking from a marketing point of view because I'm fed up with doing these people doing boring marketing webinars that go on and on and on. And I've only quoted 5 seconds of it and John Ittleson's already gone to sleep. You see, it's not fun. But the way I started making my events more interactive was to use chat. And a lot of these wonderful, and again, you know, I could name drop half a dozen companies, couldn't I, who've got these things where you ask them a question and then the answer comes up on the screen. It could be a word search. You could ask them for chat. You could have asked them for a vote. So you can do lots of great things in the chat. You can run Zoom polls of many, many sorts, and then you can get the response back. And what I was looking for was, quite frankly, my potential customers, please look away now, to ask questions during the webinar so that I could effectively get feedback directly during the webinar of who is going to be interested and who is not going to be interested in what I was talking about. But the whole principle works as well for catching bots, because of course the bots won't know the answers to give either. And so they'll go away. The people that are not paying attention to the webinar, you can set traps so they put the wrong answer in. And then you know that they are the ones. And I actually wrote this webinar series, haven't released it yet, and God help me when I do. Every God there is help me when I do, because I actually was going to set the rule that if you don't respond well to the things that I give you in the first webinar, you're not going to get invited to the next one. So by the time it gets to my second webinar, only people that are actively interested and involved in the whole process would get to the second webinar. And the second webinar, obviously, I'll be able to then be more interactive and more helpful to the people on the webinar because they've now proved that they are more interactive. And I know, but nobody in Zoom's told me officially, I know that this is the way things will go. And I can give you a really good quote of why it is so. If you look at Zoom CMS, which is their content management service, where you can run an event. So Lois, you could run a webinar about your favorite subject. You could run an event. And then at the end of that, you could take the recording, put it back into CMS and get Zoom to run that recording for you automatically as the next event. You wouldn't have to turn up for the beginning of it. It would play your recording. And then at the end of the recording, and that's called Simulive, at the end of your recording, you could decide to let the webinar close, or you could decide to come on stage, virtual stage, take over from the recording and maybe do a Q&A or a follow-up or an interaction with the audience at the end so that you can gauge what those people are. Now, why this is better than everything else out there is that during that recorded bit, you could have stayed in the backstage, for instance, and you could have continued to hold conversations with the audience live. So if you run that webinar and you saw there were 50 people booked to go on it, you might drop into the webinar 10 minutes in and then just answer the chat, answer the Q&A if you've made it available, and interact with the audience while your doppelganger, who's the recording of you from last time, is doing the actual presentation. Zoom guys do this all the time. In fact, I was on a Zoom webinar, 3 hours ago, where that was happening, where a certain person had given a presentation about webinars, Josh, for those that want to know, and he was playing the recording and he was interacting with the audience through the chat at the same time. However, if you look at the paid version of CMS, where you have to pay more money to Zoom to get the more flashy version, they now tell me, and I haven't bought it, so I can't tell you exactly how it works. They have now told me that if you run a poll during that automated webinar, during the pre-recorded webinar, you run a poll, The automated webinar will run the same poll at the same time. So now you can build the poll interaction into that webinar, and you're still not needing to be there.
Yeah, it's really cool that they came up with that.
That's mind-blowing. Of course, I was halfway through having an app to do this, but I don't need to now because they're going to do it automatically.
But right now, just to finalize what Lois was talking about, right now there's not a way to prevent these additional bots to sneak in at this point.
Because they come in exactly like another Zoom program would turn up. You don't know if the Zoom program has got a human behind it or a bot behind it. So you can't tell unless you do what we've been talking about now, which is to ask questions, do something that means that the bot has to interact, because the bots don't interact, do they? They just sit there and listen and record. So if you did something that created an interaction, you can catch the bots out quite well then.
So if they're in the waiting room, a host or co-host could go and ask them a question.
Yes.
See what they responded with.
Exactly.
That should clear out most of it, shouldn't it?
Exactly. You could do that. You could also use the waiting room straight into a breakout room and have well, we can't have the naughty step. So what do we call it? The interrogation step. So you may automatically take the people that you know and love and bring them straight in, and the ones that you don't recognize. And Mike and I have tried to sneak this a couple of times late on a call. You could have the ones you don't recognize, bring them into a breakout room. You close the breakout room, so they're in the breakout room, and if they leave the breakout room, they have to leave the whole meeting. So you lock down the breakout room. You bring them into the breakout room directly from the waiting room, and again, you could then question them, interrogate them, or somebody could go in and challenge them as a human to human, and then allow them into the main meeting. So yeah, all those things are available, but yeah, it's not automatic, I'm afraid. We have to do something at our end to do that. But great question, Lois.
Yeah, John, then Robert.
I was going to say, this is bringing up a much larger issue, and just whether there's a human or a robot in a meeting, or whether the old song, is it Memorex or is it live? If you're interested, I put in the chat, and the organization OKTA, which is a identity authentication. So when I log into my university, I have my password, my university ID, my password, then there's various authentication that I have to do. And that is being expanded. So just 2 days ago, it was the OKTA Identity Summit, Securing AI. And one of the sessions there did have people from Zoom talking about this identity issue. So your question, Lois, is not are they real or not, but who are they really? So you want to know who the person is. You want to have that level of trust and know what they're doing. And so it's an interesting topic. But if you have the time, that OKTA was a very interesting corporate presentation about these issues.
And Robert.
And I would be cautious with asking someone to respond to a chat message in the waiting room, because a lot of people who come in, for example, early into an event will log in, switch, put themselves on mute, run off, go and grab a cup of tea before they start. And so they're not active, knowing that the event hasn't started yet. So there's a possibility there of actually throwing out a lot of people who are real people.
Thank you, Robert. I won't throw them out, but I don't let them in. And I also do tend to start my meetings 10 minutes before, so I have a chance to get the people excited or kick them out. But it's a good point. There are, I know at least two, so there's probably a lot more developers working on products with corporates on this identity problem. Even to the point where they were talking about actually having some sort of authentication logo on the screen to prove that the person had been authenticated by the system. So yes, it's a big issue they're thinking about. It's a big issue they're thinking about. Oh, sorry, my avatar broke there. it's a big issue that they don't know what to do for yet, but there are quite a few software guys working on it.
All right. Very cool. Lois, any follow-up to that? No, we're good. All right.
No, this every time I come in here and ask one of these questions that goes on forever, I just wonder, like, what do you guys do when I'm not here?
Wait for you to turn up.
So thank you for the answer to that question. That was much more complicated than I thought it was going to be. But it's always nice to talk about this stuff and find out what the heck is happening.
Yeah, and again, it depends on of course, in your case, Lois, you probably are majority of the time just using Zoom meetings, but John was obviously talking about, as you go up using webinar into, sessions and to events, how the complexity, of course, starts to grow as you go into those other products as well. All right, so just for YouTube's sake, you guys are watching us and we got a pretty big audience on there right now. Don't forget, it is question and answer time. If you do have any questions for our panelists while we're here, let us know in chat and I will relay it to everybody here. Mr. John.
As you don't have the courage to ask it, and I've worked out a polite way of doing so. Lois, why are you better than us that we know you're in the US?
I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
Better?
Yes. John and I noticed, again, the techies in us, that every time, even though when you're in multi-speaker and also in gallery, but when you are speaking and you go onto my second screen and also to our friends on YouTube, that beside your name comes up the USA in very lower caps.
A what?
Comes up the USA. It says Lois Richter, then USA comes up. Only when you're speaking.
There's another title, Lois, under the big one.
Well, I didn't put it there. I don't know. Maybe David put it there. That wouldn't make any sense. Do you see it now when I'm speaking?
Yes.
Okay, you see it. I
can't see it.
I'm going to pin myself so I can see it bigger. All right, now I'm talking, and no, there's
so
nothing.
Bottom left, you've got
wait
Lois.
A minute. On the
Lois,
other corner, I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if there's another name hidden behind the one that Zoom's putting on there. Here.
Let me try something and see if this makes any difference at all.
Yes.
So I never saw that was burned into that background. It was a background. It's this background, but it was a background.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. So that's actually all right.
Yeah.
But it was very conveniently in the right spot too, because John and I were going, is that a new Zoom feature? Did they not tell us about something again?
No, I
wait
just
a minute.
what I did is I stepped away from my desk and I took this picture, and then that's my Zoom background.
So after asking us about fakes, she's been running a fake background on us without us noticing it. The girl is cool.
All right. I'll use a different one. How about this one? You like that one?
Well, it definitely made us, you definitely got us going on that from John and I, though, because it was so perfectly put. It was like, and it's lowercase. It's not, it's not this. It looked like a similar font, and it was smaller. So it was like, John and I wanted to go, where's our Canada or our UK that we can put up?
I'll tell you what that is. When I took the picture, I took that as a screenshot off of a Zoom. I had on Zoom one of those little icons, I guess you call them, that you can create and you can put out there. And it just happened to be on there and I never noticed. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Not the virtual backgrounds, but and not the avatars, but the video filters. Here, I'll turn one on. And now you see a video filter in the corner up there, right? Or here, there's one across the bottom. So you can you can make those. And at one point I had made that little thing. Hey, Lord Zoom.
That's yeah, because again, we're we were thinking, where did that come from? So, and YouTube, you might have noticed that now we have burnt in CC, and that's because Hershid just joined us. Welcome, Hershid. I don't know if you're available on camera or not, but Hershid is here with us, aka Hershey Bar, nickname Hershey Bar. There he is.
You are? Yes. Thank you. Welcome. If you, I don't know, I guess I could go turn it off if you want me to go turn it off, but I think I would have to do that in panel, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
Is that the truth though? As a question, if I want to turn them off, I would have to go to the admin portal panel to go turn them off there, not just within the client.
And that's referencing Hershey, just for my sake.
If you're just trying to work with the captioning, like let's just say you didn't want them on technically, and where would you toggle that, or where would you control that, through the admin portal part or through the application itself?
Okay, yeah. So in the regards of when David set up the meeting, he allowed that. So it would be in the setup there. I don't know if you could do that at the user level or block that at the admin level. I would need help from the rest of the gang on that one. But again, yeah, so that's why you're able to enable that as soon as you came in. But yeah, at the host level, if I did notice that you did that, I could actually go in now and disable that if I wanted to, as it's within the host tools as well.
So the host tools you could turn it off on your end for a pipeline, but since I'm using it as far as my client is concerned, that's what's showing up.
Right. Okay. Go ahead, Lois.
So just to be clear, you said that Harshid turned on CC, but I don't see any because I haven't turned it on in my computer. Now, if it's going out to YouTube, that leads to the question of whose feed is it taking to put to YouTube? I mean, our host is gone. You're now the new host. Did it switch to your feed?
Yes. So I'm in multi-speaker mode right now.
And
which made it look like it didn't change because David very much runs in multi-speaker as well.
And so if you do not have CC running on your computer, it shouldn't show up in YouTube, should it?
No,
it's YouTube. It's a YouTube thing. So the YouTube app will not send the captions unless the meeting has had the captions turned on. So we didn't have the captions turned on when the meeting started, but when Hershey joined, he started the captions, and therefore the captions are now working for the whole meeting. So it doesn't matter who's host or co-host now, the captions have now been turned on for the meeting, and therefore the YouTube plugin, because we're using the standard YouTube app from Zoom, is automatically sending those now to.
And I have mine turned on in the admin portal side of it, so I've had it from logging in.
So the fact that you came in here, Hershey, forced the captions or forced the request to the captions to be turned on.
Yeah, which by default David had set up for the meeting. Go ahead, Lois.
So the only reason that Mike knew that happened is you were watching YouTube, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm monitoring everything.
I didn't see a change. I didn't know what y'all were talking about at first. Took me a little while to figure it out.
I believe I saw it, Lois, but I'm a co-host, so I think that's why I saw it.
Yeah. So that was the main reasoning I mentioned what I mentioned, because I was doing it for the YouTube audience so that they understand why all of a sudden now we're doing it and that we weren't doing it before. That's why.
Got another question, if you wouldn't mind.
Of course.
Can I just add one more thing before we go on? Transcripts also work the same way, everybody. It's the transcript. If the transcripts haven't been started, then they don't exist for the meeting. And then if somebody then hits the transcript button, then they start appearing. So it's the same concept. If they're not on by default and somebody requests them, they start from that point.
Right. And again, John, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what we ended up seeing as the request, right? That transcription has been asked as host and co-host.
I believe so. I didn't see it being asked, and I just clicked on it and found that it was already running. So if it hadn't been running, then I wouldn't have seen.
Okay, I did get it pop up as soon as Rashid asked.
So wait, I'm also getting transcription out there too.
If David had the translation license turned on, which he
Right.
does not, but that, yeah, go ahead, John. You're gonna have to explain that one a little bit from the back end.
Transcription, not translation.
Yes.
Right. So
Translation
where I'm
could
coming
also
at is
work as
like
well.
you have the caption turned on. I get that part, but then transcription is usually the AI Yamajigger to take meeting notes or.
The transcription is when you turn on CC and the captions are showing, it then makes a record of what those captions were.
Okay.
And anyone can see it. There's a button down here that I can click on to see full transcript. And that will show me the comments that have been made in CC since it got turned on.
Okay. And that's part of the VTT file as it is.
Yeah, when you see the archives, correct, that's where your VTT would then be in there as well. And I'm pretty sure that Robert's going to make a comment because I think were you playing with it to see if they've changed that, Robert? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to actually need to really be careful with these captions, because if I, as a user, and I'm not a co-host, okay, go and change the caption language, I'm going to do this now and change it to Polish. Just look at what happens on YouTube. The captions on YouTube get all muddled up because it's expecting Polish, but I'm speaking English. So it sends out a load of garbage, really. Unless I start speaking, for example, Polish, then it would be correct in Polish. So I've never figured out why this works this way, because what it means is it only takes one person in the meeting to change the language, and you've got your captions messed up. So you can't use these captions as a standard way of generating captions on YouTube.
And that's no matter of co-host or regular attendee, right?
Exactly. I'm just a regular attendee.
Yeah. We did the experiment of this we've done the experiment over the last few months, if not a couple of years now. And this has been like this for a bit now. And Robert was testing to see if it still was the case. And I perfectly understand because we're in the Zoom test kitchen. So that's the best ways to test. But so basically the scenario is that, and again, it's based on the last person that asked to change that language as well. So if somebody else decided to change it, Robert changed it back to English after he did it to Polish. But if somebody else now, if Lois changed it to a different language again, that English, new language would be now. Yeah. And again, that new language would be what YouTube sees. So it's not even controllable by the host or the co-host. Go ahead, Johnny.
The other thing is, just a minute, John, before you jump in.
Yeah.
The transcript will also show the way the captions changed. In other words, the garbage that came out will also be in the transcript.
On that too, yeah. So how can one be careful? I mean, that all work through the portal then, right? Just be wary of turning it on and off, because I use it on one-on-one and I use it for recording purposes for 1080p. But with that workflow of mindset, where would one be weary of it? Just don't turn it off when you start a meeting as a host, just turn it off and you're okay? Or would you have to go turn it off in the back end in the portal?
How can one turn it off in a meeting? I mean, once it's on for the rest of the meeting, no matter what anybody does. Isn't it true?
Johnny, go for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure once you turn it on, it's on. You can hide the captions, but they carry on working. And the issue is the old good issue we like to pull the legs of Zoom about. It's the silo problem. So the team that wrote the captions for YouTube, I mean, maybe they don't even exist at the moment because they're not keeping up with some of these new things. Maybe they don't exist. Yeah, you can do all these fancy screen sharing things and superimpose yourself on screen shares. None of that goes to YouTube. So I do feel that at some point they need to put a team back together again and get all these issues solved so that when you stream to YouTube, it sees what you talk about and records what you talk about.
Yeah, because John and I have talked about this extensively ourselves on our show as well too. We're starting to talk about this more, but the other scenario that John and I have talked with Josh as well is related to not only are we talking about RTMP and SRT, but in the regards of the feed that's going from from a meeting, webinar, et cetera, to YouTube. That the secret sauce of what Zoom is actually sending from their Zoom servers to YouTube servers is still a mystery. We see the results of what is happening, and in theory, the way that they should be sending it properly is that they shouldn't be burning in the actual captions on YouTube, which is where you see the captions on there. You cannot turn that on and off. What they should be doing technically and can technically be done, and YouTube does accept this to be done this way, is that, and Robert's working with a company that currently does do that properly, where you actually will engage that the closed caption button that is available on the YouTube player, that if you send the closed captioning text properly to YouTube, that will then be activated via that closed captioning button instead of it actually being burnt into the video live.
And don't get us started about translations when it gets even more complicated.
Right. And exactly. And especially in Robert's case too, where he would love to be able to send multiple languages via CC so that if they're watching on YouTube as well, they would have the choice then at that particular point in the CC, which is available on YouTube, by the way. And if you ask the person that I know you're dealing with, Robert, he'd be able to get that to work for you, where you can actually get the multiple closed caption languages at a touch of a button on the YouTube player as well. But again, this is not using Zoom currently. Zoom does not have that capability. What you're seeing on YouTube right now is what Zoom offers. And that's a full stop at this point.
So when Robert changed the language to Polish, and then people talk for a little bit, and I changed the language back to English, and then I looked at the full transcript. There was no Polish in that full transcript. There was no garbled thing. There was nothing. It was just absolutely blank for the time that it had said CC in Polish. So Robert, when you did that, did you actually see the closed captioning in Polish on your screen?
Yeah, you can go to 23:13:12 as a timestamp, and you'll see rubbish there.
Yeah, even though it's in English words, those were not the English words that Robert was saying at that particular point. If that was Zoom doing its best to think he's talking Polish and doing some weird trying translation of sorts.
The cup shipping. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
That's the Polish area.
Yeah. So what might have been lost there in translation, so to speak, is that when Robert sets it to Polish, that means Zoom expects him to be speaking Polish and will try and create captions based on him speaking Polish. So if he carries on speaking English, that's when it gets confused.
The way to get around this, Lois, is to have the version of Zoom or the license that has the translated captions, because then I can set my language to what I want it to be. You can set yours to what you want it to be, and we will get transcripts in the different language that have been spoken or selected at the end of the meeting.
Now, Robert, here's a question for you. You do have this additional license. Is that still the case when you send to YouTube, considering you have that license?
No, you can't select the language that you're sending to YouTube. It's
so it's still the same situation. You had that add-on or not?
Yeah, and to be very honest, I can't figure out how it works, whose language it chooses to send to YouTube. I don't understand that, because it doesn't seem, you can't find a pattern that allows you to figure out what is going out there.
Okay, because I know when Rashid started ours today, he chose English. So I know it started in English that I saw. So if you start one in Polish from the get-go and it is a Polish language event, you will not see Polish burnt in.
If everyone is speaking Polish, then it'll go out in Polish, and we've selected Polish. However, if someone changes it from Polish to different language, then we get messed up.
Could this be thrown into a security issue to put like a little alerts of it to say, hey, look, we wanted to have a toggle, and if the host sets language, that's who you should look at. Because I mean, I'm thinking if somebody, as we have Zoom bombers and other things, if someone changes the captioning there's that.
I really don't know. Actually, have to.
Yeah.
It's not something that is predictable enough to be able to use in a production environment.
Sure.
During meetings, you can shout out, "Hey, why have you changed the language? Can you change it back?" And you continue. Yeah. But in a production environment, I don't know how to do it.
So if right now the full transcript is in English or pretend Polish because you were speaking English. If I am in this room and one of you says, "Hola, amigos," and starts talking Spanish, just one person, just for a few minutes, will it write it down or will it try and make it English?
It'll try and get the English version of that unless we've changed the language of the captions into Spanish.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it'll basically do its best to Anglophone as much of the Spanish, right? Robert, that's the right terminology?
That's a nice word to use.
Yeah.
And
So
it does know what hola amigo is because it wrote it right in the transcript.
It did, but again, it probably didn't have all the proper accents and such in there. So that is where they'll Anglophone, any specific word as much as possible. And that's what they were trying. And again, Robert's right. We don't really know when that language changes, why it thinks these certain English words were the Polish words that Robert was, saying, but still a mystery. But yes, if I do get a hold of those people that end up sending the feed to YouTube, yes, I've got a few of I've got a laundry list of items that I have, suggestions as in, do you like SRT? We do. Okay. Cool.
I gotta go. Bye, guys. Good to see you today.
Take care.
It was
Pleasure.
fun as always. And for you folks out there on YouTube, hope you come back, And if you want to, you can just show up on the Zoom meeting, be part of it.
Yep. And as long as you don't join the Discord server, and I'll take that throw from there from Lois on that. And if you want, I will put in the chat here momentarily how to get more information about our Discord server and such in chat. Yeah, I'll do that here momentarily, but I'll throw it over to Hershey. Did you have any other questions for the group?
Yeah, so I just recorded today, and thank you to the Zoom Test Kitchen for about explaining Spotlight. So we had 3 people in the meeting. One person was playing music in the background, guitar basically, and then I spotlighted 2 people. So as a person with vision loss, would my expectation be that I'm going to have a basically 2-up of each individual that has their camera turned on and both are spotlighted or spotlit?
So yeah, go over the scenario again. It was 2 people that were spotlit.
Right. So I was spotlit and the other guest was spotlit. The third person was just playing music, but they were in the room. And so I haven't messed with any other settings such as speaker, blah, blah, blah. But since I'm spotlit, how I would understand is those are the 2 people talking. And again, with having vision loss, is just I wanted to figure when I'm done recording.
On the background music, Hershey, I'll put them 2 up for you now.
So we got 2, and then so it's only us 2, I'm guessing right now.
Yes.
Correct. And that's what everybody on YouTube sees as well.
And then when you record, or when you hit record, all that the same spit out basically is what I'll get.
You get to choose one other piece, which is you can say it in when you choose your recording, it follows your personal instructions on how you want to record. And so in your personal settings, you can make choices about what gets seen and how it gets recorded.
So it could be broken, but it could be fixed. Okay.
It's
I don't know what toggle I'm gonna set it
it's
on.
highly probable that you will just come up with a 2-up with a little row of thumbnails up above it.
Right.
And that's a typical way to see it.
Okay.
But if you had made changes, then you could see it a different way without those little rows up there.
Okay. Lesson learned. Every recording is a lesson learned. So thank you.
And you could see it as just the active speaker as well. That's another way it may turn up if you
Well,
don't.
right now I have it set as active, but then I spotlit. So I didn't know what the behavior was otherwise, and I hadn't changed any other settings that I thought of. So
Yeah.
Spotlit overrides active.
Right. So right now we have two people spotlit, and then as Lord over there is playing music.
Blum, 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 blum.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So again, even when I TDing as I do in the background while David says, "Oh, now you spotlit me. You should spotlight me now." Yes, I'm spotlighting David on occasion too, and that is for sure specifically for the YouTube audience, so that as David is talking and others are making comments in the background, that he stays predominantly on the YouTube feed as he's doing stuff. Right.
One of the things that I wish that Zoom would do is that when I am on my own screen looking at things, I like to have the window narrow enough that I have two people, one above the other, on my screen. So I have a vertical thing with a narrower window. When I record, never can see that. It's always side by side. So if I wanted to do that above and below, I would have I would have to use some other way of recording. That is to say, record the screen on my computer rather than doing a Zoom recording in order to get that verticalness.
Lois, are you recording locally or to the cloud?
I always record locally.
And you're getting because the local recording is usually what you see on your screen.
Not the shape of the window.
Not the shape of the window, but what you see on the screen, correct?
Yeah. So even though my window is skinny and I'm seeing above and below, it's not going to record that way from Zoom.
It's not going to do that. The other thing is with spotlighting people, I'm not 100% sure, Hashi, that the recording will have the two spotlighted people next to each other.
Yes, it will.
In the local record, yes, but if you're doing a cloud record, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure that you've got the
cloud recording has different settings. That's true.
It has different settings. You've got the speaker, you've got the gallery, you've got the different options with the shared screen. I don't recall seeing an option that says anything but active speaker or
that's a good one, Robert. And so no even spotlit or multi-spotlit option.
And that's on cloud. Yeah, I was a local record, but yeah, on cloud, I guess this is the issue.
I mean, I may be wrong, but I don't record seeing that.
I can see John furiously looking in the background, to see if we can actually get this for her sheet.
Because with the cloud, I've just found it too cumbersome. That whole workflow, trying to find the links, trying to find where to download it, bring it back down to your system, then take it back to YouTube. I'd rather just locally record, hit Alt-R, and you're off to the races. Alt-R again, and it's done. So
it definitely saves on the cloud space that you're using. That's for sure.
Alt-C is the cloud. I mean, they're easy keystrokes. I mean, Windows Alt, I guess it's Option C or R, respectively.
I think I need to back off on what I said. I think I got myself confused between a screen share and speaker and two speakers, because on screen share and speaker, you have the choice of having the other people up at the top, down by the side. You got a lot of choices, but I think I misspoke, and I don't think you have that choice when it's two spotlit people.
Yeah, Hershey, that would be another concern too, that if you did want to do a shared screen, of course, you will go really small, right, in the recording.
No, you don't have to. You just slide that slider over. There's a limit to how big it will make it. I've been practicing for the presentation I'm doing next week, and I can share screen and I can use that. Oh, I love that slides as background, and then I can just cover over my camera, and I have the slide there being shown, and I'm not in it. You can get rid of that little thing. And then I have a separate camera, or I have a separate instance of Zoom with me in it. And then I can take that little slider and slide it all the way over between the two. So the person gets bigger and and it will record that way. It will record. Try it out sometime. Do yourself your own Zoom space and share the screen, and then start recording and try that little slider back and forth. And he really is pretty slick. I get excited about things like this, huh?
And the other thing with, if you're doing a webinar and you're doing a share screen and you move the slider across, and you set in the webinar that the participants see the same screen as the host, they will see exactly the format that you have as the host machine, but it only applies to the host machine. So when I'm doing a big webinar, I'll actually have a dedicated host machine where I can set up the layout so that the users can the attendees can see it. That's if I'm using just straight vanilla webinar with nothing changed in it.
Thank you very much for all the input.
Yeah, Harjeet, I did take a look at some of your YouTube content. Doing a good job, by the way, on there.
Matter of
And
fact, if you looked at the one from last night, it says happy birthday to somebody. I
Yep.
actually did a screen share on there. I don't know what showed up because it flaked out on me. It said it was screen sharing is sharing and it's not sharing. And then I gave up after a while because I could hear it in my screen reader. I could hear it, but I didn't have my screen reader for the public technically. But I did a screen share to go to, let's say, Google webpage or something. I don't know if it showed up towards the middle of it. If you were,
yeah, I did look at that, and I did notice that it ended up going into a share that would be equivalent to what we would normally see on YouTube, which is the share went 3/4 and then you went to top right.
Okay, so I went to like a pip
that you had.
I went
set
into
up.
like a pip kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be equivalent to what we would normally see if I was doing a share, when we do the share towards the end of the show, when I do the theme where we do our karaoke at the end.
Right.
That share where everybody goes small at the top right. That's what I ended up seeing.
Okay, so whenever I do screen share for any kind of know what you know, I will always, as a speaker, will go to the top right corner while the screen share itself is showing on for the audience.
Right. And I don't know if there is, that's the way that I know how to do it.
Right. I mean,
which
that's
is
what I
usually
think.
the default, but I don't know
Yeah.
if there's other methods. I think the method that Lois was talking about is the newer shares. And I don't know how they do how well they local record. Lois, do you know?
So what I was talking about was a thing where you can use slides as a background. That's different than if you want to just share your screen and have people see what's on your screen that you're looking at, that's different. But in my case, I had made a series of blank and information slides. And when I used that method, then it gives you, by default, it gives you the share, and the sharer can see where your image is. It cuts out all your background. It does like a green screen kind of a thing, and then you can move it around in the thing. You can resize it so you can get it a little bit bigger, or you can cover up your camera, and then that will disappear, and you won't see yourself at all in there. And then it acts for other people like just a shared screen on everybody else's screen. So if you're recording I think you want to set it so in your personal recording, one of the option is show speaker. And so then you would say, when you share, show speaker, and you'll have the share here, the speaker a little over here, but you got that little slider thing that you can slide over. And that's what I was trying to talk about was that particular thing. If you don't have slides, whether it's, PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever, then it doesn't work that way. It works like a regular share.
It sounds like almost like a plating of putting a plate behind your graphic kind of. Is that kind of what you guys are understanding?
Yes, sort of like replace it like a virtual background, but shrunk the person really small.
Mhm.
And then you can just press your forward and back keys on your keyboard and change the slides behind you. So I can be talking and then just change the slides. So
Interesting stuff.
I really do have to go, guys.
No worries. Thank you.
Third time.
Third time's a charm, Lois. Third time's a
Dessert
charm.
time.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Lois.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
And in Hershey, of course,
Yes.
when David and I are doing our different, when we're showing, browser stuff, I've actually done it as my own input, right? So as an
Right.
example, it would be here. Wrong one. Sorry. There we go. That's better. So
Whoopsie.
when I'm doing that, and I'm actually showing in a browser feed, this is actually an actual additional input. Yeah. And again, I'm
Right,
bringing that
right.
over. But again, I'm using an A10 Mini Pro. So that
I mean,
coming in.
I don't have any extra gear per se, like as far as I would rather go hardware too, but it's just finding those workflows. I mean, this woman and I, let me bring in music because I don't want to pay for Epidemic Sound or stuff like that. So why not have another blind friend help me play music while we're at it? And
Of course.
so it was like it worked, but do I have him as a screen share and then that audio? No, that doesn't work. How do I get, okay, wait, I remember you need 3 people to do Spotlight. Let's Spotlight 2 people. And again, we'll see what comes out. I mean, I just have to go upload it and throw the title description, but.
Right. Yeah. So just for the YouTube audience that might not know what Hershey was talking about, yes, you do need 3 people in the meeting to be
For
able to
Spotlight.
spotlight. But again, he only needed to spotlight 2 people out of the 3, right? Even though the third person was the
Otherwise, it
person
won't
actually-
show up in your menu at all. The Spotlight will not it won't appear.
Correct. Yeah. And the most you could do at that particular point is pin, but that's not what we're trying to do in that situation.
And pinning, anyone can pin, and pinning is your local machine to you. So whatever you pin is what happens to you. So don't ever feel afraid that, oh my God, I pinned it. Oh my God, they're going to see what's on my screen. It doesn't matter if you pin somebody to see what their graphics or screen looks like. Would that be correct?
That's correct. So yeah, you can pin. Sorry, I was talking
You're
to the
fine.
YouTube audience there, but yeah, again, you could pin whoever you want to whatever screen you have. Again, depending on your Zoom setup, because again, in my case, I have Zoom actually working on 2 screens. So I have the main gallery, which is in multi-speaker mode on one screen, and on my teleprompter, I've got the second screen. So I could actually pin, if you're doing interviews as an example, Hershey, and this is stuff that I do weekly with John, is that I will pin him on my teleprompter screen so that I'm always talking to him directly as if I was in person with him. And it's
And
a
that's
conversation
for your
between
visuals,
us.
though, right? It's whenever you say that you're pinning, that's more for your personal visuals. Just say, okay, I'm actually looking at a person and talking to them.
Correct. Yeah. And that's my personal visuals, not the visuals that we're necessarily recording or the visuals that we'd be sending to YouTube. Correct. But it gives me, as a person that, has the interactivity with John, instead of me looking to another screen like this screen, then I'm all of a sudden, but I'm talking to John over here, but I'm not actually looking at the screen, where now I'm actually looking at the screen. And if I pin him over here, I'm straight on with the camera now.
And as,
Right.
as a shout out to Ray Franklin, always have good eye contact, right? I mean,
That's right.
he always drills that in us.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And Ray was with us today
Oh, okay. Awesome.
and earlier. And Ray's with us every week. Ray
Yeah.
Franklin's always with us, as well as Ray Howard. No Ray Howard sightings as of yet.
Okay.
You never know. If I say it 3 times, it might be like Andy, and all of a sudden he goes, boop, appear.
There. Yeah.
So you never know. But yeah, so which means you have to. Oh, and Talak is with us, and he's been the active
I saw
person.
Slalak in there earlier. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Talak
Slalak.
says which means you have to record your screen ? And I think that might be to Talak. I didn't see when you said that. I'm sorry. That might have been just recently. Which means you have to record your screen. Talak, if you can help me a little more.
542. It is 42. So he just said that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what he was referencing there. That would be, I think Talak is talking about screen scraping in that particular point. So yes, I could, with my second screen, actually screen scrape. That is the best screen.
So
to screen
OBS
scrape.
it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, OBS would be a good one at that particular point. But again, if you're going down that road,
I
then
don't
you
want
might
to,
actually
but-
contemplate. Yeah, I know, but you might want to contemplate then at that point doing all the actual production in vMix on a PC side.
That's
right?
where I'm kind of leaning. Someone's brought it up. You've brought it up to me a couple times, and if I could figure it out, if I could even figure out anything tactile buttons, we talked about X keys and other. Elgato has their plethora of stream decks and such. That it's just I've not felt or known a workflow. I mean, it's teaching a monkey new tricks. I mean, I am from Africa after all, but it's just teaching me a new trick to say, okay, this is the workflow. From beginning to end. And how does that work for you as a person? It's like everyone's going to be different. Someone that might have other disabilities may be software driven only. So clicking on with a mouse could be just fine. For me, I like the hardware part of it where tactily I'm moving buttons, knobs, anything like that. So
exactly. Johnny, come on in.
Actually, Wednesday. My Lord Zoom live on Tuesday.
Tuesdays, yes.
I used a vMix, and I had a multi-box layout for it, and I had.
Oh, John, I think you meant the Wednesday. Was that the developer? Because with us on
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
the developer on the Wednesday. Yes,
yeah,
the developer
Wednesday.
on the Wednesday.
Yes.
I had a multi-box, and I had two defined inputs. One was my. Well,
one was
actually,
your camera, and one was your slide.
It was actually a screen capture, but it was effectively my slideshow, and the other one was my camera. So I had that set up, and I had that in vMix. You can set, and by the way, you get, I think it's 60 days license on vMix. You can play for it for 60 days. You've got plenty of time to see if it works for you.
Yes, and if it works with your hardware as well.
Yeah,
that's very important for vMix.
I had a layout for 2 boxes, and I could have changed the sizes, so I could have proportionalized them and changed the size of them. And then I had 2 other options. So that was one screen layout. Then a screen layout was just me, and a screen layout was just the slides. Now, if I program my Stream Deck, and you can program the Stream Deck to talk directly to vMix, so you don't even have to worry about anything else.
Through API.
Then you could have had the Stream Deck programmed with 3 buttons, and the left one would have been just you, maybe, and the right one would have been just the slideshow, and the middle button would be the 2 together. And then you click between the 3 of those, and because it's using the same windows, it even does a sort of mini animation between the
vMix is kind of doing the switching part, but the 3 button part. So let's just say button A is a skew, button 2 is the slides, button 3 is
okay.
both.
Let me toggle back a bit and explain why vMix is different to all the others. So vMix, you have lots of inputs, and those inputs can be a source of anything. So let's say one input is a source of your camera, another input is a source of your presentation. And then you can do these multi ones where you start with a box, but you can then make any of the other sources you've already defined as a source in this multi-box, and then you can lay out the multi-boxes. I think you can have up to 9 of them, I think. I've never
what
used
Blackmagic Design would call super sourcing.
Which Blackmagic Design would call super sourcing in their world.
Okay.
But to vMix, it's just a virtual source.
Virtual source. Okay,
it's a source made out of other sources. So you can create lots of input sources, which can be any combination of video and audio. So in the event of a camera, it could be the camera plus the audio, or you might have the audio coming in separately. You can have multiple sources like that, and then you can create these virtual sources, which are a combination of those sources. And then just to make it really sexy, it's also got 4 overlays if you go for the Pro version. So even after you created whatever you created, you then got the ability to drop up to 4 other sources as overlays. So obviously you need them to be transparent, otherwise they're just going to blow over. But if you want to have a lower thirds graphics or pop-ups or things like that, you've got 4 of those which you can then overlay on top of anything. So the ability to have your layouts of your 2 people and the ability to have your presentation screen, if somebody works with you to lay it out as you want and you get it exactly as you want it, then you can dedicate it to keys and you won't have to worry about it anymore. You can just use Stream Deck keys and just bounce between the different layouts.
Sounds like it's a workable plan. I mean,
it's fantastic
because Mimo is Mac only, right? So just Mimo Live, let's be more clear, because there's Mimo Monitor.
With all due respect to Mimo Live and all those other products,
right?
They are glorified OBS products.
But for their
I'm
own,
sure they're going to argue that how glorious they have to be before they lose that tag. But they have all come from that sort of world and built up from that sort of philosophy.
Right.
Whereas if you go and have a look at Wirecast or vMix, they're at another level of organization. And then if you look at what Blackmagic, and all these big electronics studios do, they're just, they just blow your mind another level above that as well.
Right.
And it's always a question of at what point do you take somebody from one level to the next, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, like
as you say, the super source out of the Blackmagic is a good example of mixing video sources together. The difference in the vMix is the vMix is all software controlled.
And to throw another brand out there, Magewell or Magwell, that's also a switcher type of thing, kind of situation too, hardware?
Depending on their product, they do have a competing product that has switching capabilities in it.
Mm-hmm.
They were not known for that. They were known for their capture type cards.
So more of a capture card, not necessarily a switching.
Yeah, think of Magwell for the most part, and where they specialize and where they shine is equivalent to a Blackmagic Decklink
copy
card. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They were the more original Decklink cards than before Blackmagic. Yes, Lois, go ahead.
Welcome back.
Well, I was looking at the YouTube and then I heard you guys saying, oh, well, this was this when this was this. And I just wanted to clarify. What Tlaloc was asking about was my description of having a share with a speaker. There's a slider in between it that you can slide back and forth. You all have done this on your own screens, I'm sure. And it records, if you record locally on Zoom, if you change that slider, it will change what you are recording. I've done it. I've been practicing with it. I can't the slider won't go as big as I can put it on my screen. I mean, on my computer, I can make it so that the share is this tiny little thing and the speaker is huge. It won't get that big, but it will certainly get bigger than what it starts out with, which is the share is big and the other is little. No, I really do have to go.
No, you're right, Lois. It's what you see. Oh, and she did.
And she did go. Oh, no, and she's back again.
Definitely what you see is what you get. Yeah, because if you make the mistake, as I've made in some recordings where I've got it in gallery view because I want to keep an eye on the audience, it then records gallery view. So whatever you have, the local version will record it on your screen.
Which is why when I have to record one of these presentations, I do like a little 30-second record, see what it looks like. Oh, that's not right. Try it again. So, yeah.
That's right. Thanks, Lois, for round 4. See you next week.
5.
Oh, 5? For everybody keeping in count on YouTube.
This is the first time I'm actually leaving. Okay.
Oh,
I'll leave Zoom as well.
Yeah.
I'll leave Zoom as well.
All right.
Good evening.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, Lois. We love Lois. Hilarious. Yes. When it comes to, but yes. So yeah, when it comes to vMix, as John was saying, 60-day trial. So again, that is full-fledged all features, including Zoom integration, 60 days, no cost. If it works on your machine, great. If it doesn't, they don't want your money, right? That's always been vMix's motto for years.
Would you say
Years.
something like Splashtop would be the best to help, like if you're helping someone else remotely? Would you say Splashtop and vMix play nice together? I know
What
people
type
have tried, well, because I've known people that have tried Jump Desktop, but since I use Access Technology software such as Zoom Text Fusion and Jaw Screen Reader and stuff, I've always found that any screen share that I've done so far, they just they suffer, to say the least. But if I were to, let's say, use Splashtop and have someone to at least help me set it up, or maybe just Parsec as well, what would you recommend that works better if you're trying to remotely help set up a system with vMix?
Okay, yeah. So Splashtop, to be honest, I don't know much about, but go ahead, Johnny, and I'll look at it.
Do you mean setup or do you mean run?
Either way, I mean, it could be both.
Okay,
just depending if I could run it, I could run it, sure. But if there's problems, then yeah.
I would be concerned if you ran anything like that on vMix, because it's a video processing app.
Yeah, it's going to eat.
And you
both.
really don't want to have much else running on it. I first came across vMix a week before I did my first conference for Toastmasters International. I'd never used a product. I was going to use Wirecast, and then somebody mentioned vMix, and I looked at it, and it was easier to use for what I was doing. And by the end of 12 and a half hours, my PC was not responding, but the vMix was still delivering the content to the Zoom, and Zoom was still putting out to the audience, and the audience was not aware that it was taking me 30 seconds to press a button and get something to happen. So it kept going. But I wouldn't
try it.
This is the argument that the big guys would say for why you want dedicated electronics. So you want to be careful if you're going to use something. Once you get up to the level of vMix, and to be honest, probably all the others are affected by this as well, but they probably don't want to say it. Once you get to this amount of video processing, you're processing multiple video feeds, and you're inputting and overlaying and all those. There's a lot of processing going on, and you do not want to add anything else that adds processing to it. And something that does a video capture, it rings alarm bells in my ears straight away. So I would never use that on a live process. Those people that have big problems using this have gone to they've gone to the point, you probably don't want to do this today, but they've got to the point of taking vMix and installing it in the cloud on a cloud-based machine, so people can get access from there rather than trying to break into, inverted commas, break into somebody's PC on a desktop from a network somewhere far, far away to try and see what's going on.
Right. And again, Hershey, if you're talking locally, vMix does have a functionality, which I'll show you here momentarily, called vMix Web Controller. So it basically has a little built-in video web server, or a little website, that will basically get you access to. So it basically will allow you to control vMix from a browser. So any browser on an iPad, phone, et cetera, will allow you to actually, you can do switching via
it's
that
like a virtual
browser.
It's a virtual Stream Deck, effectively. It's a web page version of a Stream Deck buttons. Works the same way.
So, yeah. So again, with the Stream Deck, how you can actually, pull up a Stream Deck via a web page as well. This is similar type of, and again, vMix has had this for, again, years. So that basically the scenario is that, you could actually have vMix running in the background of your PC, but you could actually have your tablet beside you, and it would actually, you just touch it with your finger then at that point on the tablet, and you could actually be switching the show.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
vMix has a lot of things hiding in it. I don't even want to go down the road of why most of the sports companies, sports broadcasters are starting to use vMix quite a lot, especially the lower to mid. So you wouldn't necessarily find this as an NFL when you see vmix of NFL, but you might see vmix at like a farm team of an NFL where they're broadcasting live. So you'll see some of those type of sports events will easily have vmix as the video switcher because of the fact they have built-in instant replay, right? And if you end up in conjunction with certain X key models, because they've been X keys and vmix have been together for years, if not almost the very beginning, way before there was even a thought of a stream deck and even companion. vmix and X keys have been working hand in hand with each other. I know Dan, one of the original owners of X keys, and I have my little X key unit back in those days because I was so involved with vmix and doing a lot of testing that he actually had sent me a 24 key X keys button unit, which is their bestseller. And I've used it with vmix without any issues. The only difference between X keys, of course, is the visual capability of stream decks, right? Is that you now have to put your own label into X key buttons as compared to where stream deck, you basically through either Bitfocus Companion or the stream deck software can actually make a logo show up in the button or text show up in the button or colors, where X keys doesn't have that. And you would actually literally have to pop the actual plastic sleeve off and put in your own little.
So basically a better thing for the blind guy, I think. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but again, the textile of an X key is more broadcast. So if you're used to the broadcast buttons, the X keys are more orientated towards the broadcast keys.
So I felt like the Sony switchers and stuff when they had them hooked up to BRCs and SRGs at Infocom, and those the tactileness of the buttons and switchers and stuff, much more sturdier. So I would imagine X keys have a more sturdier build to it.
Correct. Yeah. So let me show you here quickly what the as well for everybody on YouTube as well. I can show you that. I'll go to X Keys website here. And
Doesn't
that
anybody
is
in this world do braille stickers on for buttons?
If I knew it, then yeah, that would help too. Or bump dots, just putting little markers. So you have a button of 5, then you put a bump dot on it, so you know that that's channel 1 and everything in channel 1 stuff.
That's why I like the 15 key stream deck, because I can feel where you can feel the middle button and I can feel a way around it easily.
Yeah. So here's where X keys shine. So you'll see a lot of units in here that you go, oh, look at all the broadcast ones already. So they've got T-bar ones. So you can actually get, a baby little T-bar one if you are an old school video switcher.
I felt
that likes that. Here's a specific one that actually is made. They worked in conjunction with Central Control. If anybody's familiar with Central Control, I think the office hours and our Zoom test kitchen community is familiar with that. So this one was specifically made for, let me just pop that up. So there you go. So that one has the toggle, has all the different buttons that orientate themselves with X keys. And John had actually mentioned it earlier. So here's another one that's quite popular too. This would be what you do again when I was talking about for the instant replay. So again, this is to work in conjunction with you can see your in and out, you got your play button and such. So all the different type of buttons that you need to get that different sources into the replay. John was mentioning earlier the Wirecast, and the X keys actually worked with Wirecast themselves to come up with an actual, let me just see if they actually have it here.
Hardware appliance. Yeah.
Let me just see here. Let me just do it this way here. A quick little search, and I'll do X keys and Wirecast. We'll see what we get. Yep, there we go. Ta-da! So this is the actual one that specifically has all the different Wirecast buttons in it as well. That is a newer arrangement that they were working with Wirecast on that. And as you can see, Hershey, you see how all the individual buttons actually pop out, right?
Right.
And the actual back part, they basically print that out and they print out the different buttons. And again, a lot of the buttons,
Basically
they
the
will actually
keycaps
make,
or whatever you want to call it, kind of.
correct. Yeah. And that's how their structure works, is that they're, and again, if for you, that probably, you know, if it's not as important, if it lights up and more textile, where you will again get, with some of these models, you'll actually get the, so there's all the different buttons and such that they've got, how they got it laid out, that you can control almost anything. In here, I think they have, I'm just trying to see where they have the actual, yeah, and they also have, this is another one of their other ones that is also popular, is their regular 12 button with a jog wheel. So
Okay.
again, if you're editing,
Yeah.
so this is, editors love this model where you'll actually,
What's it called, model specifically?
this one is called the X12 jog and shuttle,
Okay.
XK-12
Okay.
model.
So with the jog, you jog through, you're jogging along your timeline and you hit
Yep.
your buttons, chop it up, do what you gotta
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So again, it, you know, and they also have, you know, if you do want to get into, they have the equivalent model, but they have the 12 buttons on the bottom and the top is actually a joystick. So now this could be a little baby PTZ controller. Again, working with software
Yeah.
on the PC that would be able to send the commands.
And what is that? Is it kind of, what's that signal sent out? That, like, what's the language base there?
Well, officially the actual X keys unit, the X keys units themselves are just equivalent to what a Stream Deck is. It's just USB.
Yeah, I guess so. Yes, I guess it's like same style of Bit Companion and this, that, as we talked about Central earlier and all that. So, okay.
Yep. Yeah. So for Bit Focus Companion, it's X keys models are all, it will detect them as well. So if you're already using Bit Focus Companion, you can automatically use your X keys in there as well. Because I do have both my Stream Deck and my XK-24, I think is the model that I have. Let me just put it in here. XK-24. There it is. Yeah, so that's the unit that I actually have on my desk there. So that's an XK-24, and that's been one of their most widely sold ones. But as you'll see there, it's just a plain old USB 2.0 cable connecting up.
Right. Yeah, just sometimes, you know, different protocols, different ways.
Oh, sorry, there we go. Yeah, there's the video of it. Yeah, it's better. Sorry, I didn't know if it was on me or not. Sorry.
Very fine.
So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So again, so I can vouch 100% that model that I just showed, the XK-24, does work with vMix very well. Has for, as I said, for years. So
yeah, the 12 jog wheel doesn't seem. I mean, if the keys feel good and clicky, because let's just go to Elgato real quick. I felt it at Infocom, and the new one does have much better keys. The other one just feels mushy. And I never felt one, right? So I'm talking to the guy and I'm like, okay, this is okay. Go to the second one. Okay, this is a 15 button, whatever it is. Yeah, this is where it's at, and that was a new one. That the new version
new
of the
scissor
keys.
I think they call it, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much better tactile. And then when you go feel something like an SSL board and or Yamaha boards and stuff. I mean, they're different buttons, but or even a Viz RT actually had a TriCaster had a board out there.
Yep.
Totally different buttons. Totally like, wow, this is quality right here.
Yeah. So again, how the history of all the PC software has gone is that Wirecast has been around the longest, followed by NewTek TriCaster, aka Viz RT TriCaster.
Right. Okay.
Followed by vMix, followed by OBS, followed by Ecamm and Mimo Live. Notice the order here of age, right? So in the regards of how many more years has these other, even, when I say Wirecast, they're software, even though they look like they're hardware. Viz RT TriCaster, yes, they sell you hardware, but really they're software that run on a Windows PC. vMix, again, Windows PC. Wirecast, initially Wirecast was made for Mac. And this is going back 25 years ago. That's how long Wirecast has been around. So Wirecast was initially made for Mac and again was in the Apple ecosystem. Then they developed for Windows and now they have both. When it comes to TriCaster, that has always been a hardware solution, but it's always been running Windows in the background. So it's Windows based. vMix came along because those two were always too expensive, and Martin wanted to make, which was very similar situation to the ATEM story. That's why I can never forget the two stories. Is that Martin actually made vMix because he was working at a church and wanted better software so he could actually stream the church and video switch in the church. Which sounds familiar, right? That's the ATEM story for Black Magic, right? So that's like, okay, everybody saw the need. So that's where vMix came out. OBS, of course, saw everything else and said, no, we have to have an open source one because we don't want to pay, right? It's the infamous, everybody was too expensive. And then it's gone from there. And then, of course, the Mac world is now catching up a little bit when it comes to Ecamm and Mimo Live on that side. And of course, OBS does work on Mac. Everybody does poo-poo OBS on Mac.
Well, it becomes more stable now, is what I keep hearing as far as the feedback is. It's getting more stable. I think there might have been versions because even on Windows, what are we on? 31, it's like 20 or something like that, 20 something. And I've had horrendous little bugs where it just crashed out, but it's getting better.
Yeah, and exactly. And again, too, you know, what vMix ran into, and I can speak for vMix because I've been in that universe for a long time, is that it's been more the problems with Windows and NVIDIA more than it's actually been their software a lot of the time. And if you read in the forums and you type in NVIDIA, you'll probably see 30,000, no, I'm kidding, 300-ish, forum posts of my NVIDIA blah, 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 blah is not working. What should I do? Make sure that you're running the latest driver is usually the answer for NVIDIA. But there was a time when NVIDIA decided to release a new driver that broke vMix. So everybody that had a vMix that weekend, because again, this is back in the days when Windows was forcing the NVIDIA driver update. It broke it because Patch Tuesday came along. And then all of a sudden everybody needed that PC for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they're doing events. Well, we heard about it on Thursday. And so did vMix. I just updated and all of a sudden it's broken. Your software's crap, blah, 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 blah. So, even though it was Windows that updated the NVIDIA driver, and NVIDIA at that time did not have a good relationship with vMix. So,
and if we were to dive back right into vMix, you mentioned the Zoom plugin as we're still in Zoom Test Kitchen mode. What is that process of? Do I need to install two things? Is it just I have my Zoom account, I just log in, I turn on the vMix client, and
very good question. Yeah, let me just.
You have to install it. It's an add-in. It's an optional add-in that you can optionally add.
On whose side? On the vMix side?
On the vMix side. Okay. And then that is effectively another vMix client. And then that talks to Zoom.
But so 60-day free trial. Everything's all toggled on 4K. Everything's all the bells and whistles are all switched on.
Yep.
Yeah, you get the best version.
So give me a kind of rough draft workflow. Where am I going?
Sure. So basically you would go to vMix's website, Johnny Spotlight me, and I'll walk you through the website as we go. And so basically you would come here and you would actually download the actual file from here. So the latest version right now is 28.0.0.42.
And what is that file type called? Or does it say download for Windows? Is that what the link is? Because it's been a while.
vMix is only for Windows.
Yeah, so, no, like the link's there. So you're seeing, what are you seeing as far as what's on the webpage? Just give me a little keyword know-how.
Sure. Yeah,
there's a big download button.
Okay, just a download button. So when you went to vmix.com, pretty much, and then you saw download towards wherever you saw download as a button.
Download is at the very top of the page.
Copy.
Okay. Yeah, and then you just click on it, and it'll take you to the download page.
Mm-hmm.
would go right, slightly down from the top. You would have a download button where it says download vmix 28, and that's the latest version. So you download that, and you'd be able to do that. And then what you have to do is you have to scroll down in that same page while that is downloading. And there is here, let me just see, unless they've moved it on me, but I will double check that as I'm looking here. Yeah, you keep scrolling down, and then the actual release notes of vmix 27, they actually have that if you want to be able to do Zoom meetings, it says a separate plugin is required, which can be downloaded from this link.
Okay.
And it's in a specific. So again, by default, Zoom knows about Zoom, but Zoom will not work unless you have the Zoom plugin.
Right.
Okay.
You have to have that extra plugin piece there. So one thing we did, first things first, we downloaded the whole vMix client. Second thing we did is we got the plugin that makes Zoom and the vMix client talk to each other.
Correct. Yeah, because again, Martin is very, very savvy in the regards of he knows that he doesn't necessarily want to release a newer version of vMix every time Zoom updates. That he has to update the client, right? So if he does get forced to update the client because of the latest Johnny video SDK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if all of a sudden Zoom says, nope, you have to update your clients because the video SDK is now, been mothballed and he has to be at a newer version, that allows him not to be forced to, like in Ecamm and Mimo Live, it's dug into the code in the background, right? So it's modular, right? You either need Zoom or you don't need Zoom. If you don't need Zoom, don't download it, don't install it. But if you do, and you want to take that extra time, then you download and the Zoom plugin, right? And it also gives Martin the capability of, all of a sudden, if Zoom says, okay, no, you should really update the client to the version that's in your Zoom plugin should be updated. He's only making a Zoom plugin now. He's not making a whole brand new vMix version.
Right. Not reinventing the wheel. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Go, Johnny.
But, however, you don't need the Zoom plugin for vMix unless you wish to bring a vMix into vMix, a feed from Zoom. So if you want to bring a video feed that's in Zoom, like one of the speakers, into vMix to play with it and then send it back out, fine. If you just want to use vMix with Zoom, you don't need to use the plugin. All you do is you output vMix as a virtual camera and you bring the contents of what you're laying out in vMix through the virtual camera. And so in my setup, I had the camera, the webcam that I was using, that was going into vMix. The share screen was going into vMix. I was messing around with the layouts, and then the layout then was output back to Zoom as my virtual camera. In the same way as they all work, let's be honest.
Right. So
but there's no need for when we say Zoom plugin, there's no need for the Zoom plugin in that scenario. The Zoom plugin is about getting video feeds from Zoom. So it's your Zoom OSC
kind of
product.
Right.
ISO. It's built into it's all
more.
Part Zoom ISO. Yeah, sorry.
ISO,
so Zoom ISO, but it's built into the infrastructure of vMix rather than being a separate app.
And since we brought up the word ISO and audio is a kind of my key thing here, are you in turn getting better sound quality if you were to get that plugin? Let's say with the Zoom thing, you get the plugin. So are you getting two audios, like one from me as a participant, and then let's say John as the second participant? Okay.
I'm only adding to the content that I want to deliver to Zoom.
And all you did as far as nothing, your microphone is still, who's your audio connected to? Zoom basically?
Well, that's where this is where Mike's going to tell me off because my audio was connected directly to Zoom.
Okay.
Which wouldn't cause you a problem, but did mean that there was a slight lag between my face and my
Oh,
sounds.
so syncing
Because of course my
issues.
sounds was going straight into Zoom,
Yeah.
whereas my video was going from the camera into vMix, shuffled around out of vMix back into Zoom. And so
Yeah.
obviously there was a bit of a latency there because
So you
it's
need
got
to add a delay then somehow.
Yeah.
with
if you're
the-
going to be a purist, yeah, you've got to add a delay. Well, it's not amazing, but it's enough
It's
that
DJ
people
Mike.
that know will notice.
Yeah. So now Hershey, here's the official answer. If you're bringing in a remote guest, so basically you would have to be an input in vMix, and the remote guest would be its own Zoom input. There are two different scenarios there. Okay, so vMix does know how to do mix minusing. So vMix would be doing your mix minus, and you could also send out of the plugin back into the Zoom meeting. So you can pull and push. Okay. It's not, you basically are becoming a third person in the meeting, right? To a point. It's not where Zoom ISO is, you're just usually pulling, right? With vMix, you don't have to. You can just log into the meeting and just pull, right? That's its default equivalency to Zoom ISO. But if you wanted to go down that road of being able to also out into Zoom, that can be done as well through the vMix plugin, because it is smart enough to also be a two-way.
In and out, right?
Yeah, right. Where ISO is not, from my understanding. And I don't know any different if I'm wrong saying that, because again, I'm not a Mac user of the Zoom ISO. But from my understanding of Zoom ISO, it's a one-way scenario. I don't know if it's two-way. But if it is two-way, then it wouldn't be much different as it is with vMix.
And something with like vMix, could I bring you and we just record on vMix and we don't open up Zoom? Or
Yes.
Okay. So there's
Yes.
also that where if I figure out the workflow right within vMix, then I don't even have to fire up Zoom at that point and then use Zoom for
Correct.
other things. But
Right.
I would still have to figure out the captioning workflow to add it back to the.
Correct. Yeah.
To the
So
mix.
what you would need to do then is have a third-party service, which I could recommend to you, a buddy of mine, which is who Robert is actually working with right now, and their company is called Video Link with a Q.
LINQ.
LINQ. Yeah.
Okay.
And they
And
will
VID,
actually.
the video is spelled regularly, right? Because
Yeah. Right. And they offer a service where they basically will take any audio and video that you give them, and they have an AI generation that will automatically make all your files ready to go.
Speaking of Tlaloc,
VTTs or your SRTs or whatever, in whatever flavor you want. And you can also modify. So once it's done, and let's say there are certain words that were wrong, you have editable capabilities on Video Link's website as well.
it's interesting. Tlaloc mentioned stuff earlier, and I've met him in person, and we saw a whole bunch of for a convention that had a whole bunch of disability tools or access technology, and all the different hardware pieces, like even keyboards and all of that. But it's interesting. Within Zoom, vMix, all these tools, it's just we got to find that workflow, I think. And even with what you mentioned with the captioning, it's for the end user for how they use it, but it's that workflow. It's how do we push it back and get it back within that, because we talked to a company, he did audio description. I think his name is Harrington. Matter of fact, it's on my channel. And Tlaloc is recording me, and it's just to see AI back then in 2024 of January to now you have Gemini. You say, hey, look at my screen. Hey, now audio describe it to me. And aistudio.google.com, for example, if you go there, if you try that out that way, you could actually get that functionality. So it's just to see this company. They were at the convention as a vendor. I don't recall the name, and that's why I asked you for the Video Link name, because there's so many companies that do similar things, where this company did audio description, for example, and we're in 2025, and I don't know if they're still around or what route they went, because it's all either automated or other things have taken over, and to do it from the from scratch, as you've explained, video link seems like they do it from scratch kind of thing, or from core foundation stuff. It's important pieces to have because again, you're not the only content viewer, and you never know what you'll tap into.
Correct. And what I've done on YouTube, as Hershey is talking, I actually put up video links URL, and I'll put that in our chat here too for you.
Thank you.
She'd, yeah, so Video Link, again, Video Link started as a company that was basically a competitor to Restream. And they soon learned that, they were competing against the Restreams of the world. But again, they did not want to be the Restream of the world, right? Where the Restream of the world would be, there are, I know two of, I don't know anybody corporately at Restream, but I do know everybody corporately at VideoLink, and I do know everybody corporately at
Ecamm.
No, not at Ecamm. John, help me. You have their service. I always think of their old name, and I don't want to say their old name.
Switchboard.
Switchboard Live. Thank you. Yes. So I know the owner at Switchboard Live. He used to be my boss. And I know the owner at VideoLink, and he's an old streaming buddy from mine going back a couple of decades
So
now.
if I want to support my Australian friends, what you're saying is I should go vMix with a banana, and then I should get Rodecaster Pro too.
Interesting. And a Rodecaster Pro too. Huh. Yes, sticking with the Oz.
I mean, you got the paddles and the buttons and.
That's right. And if you really want to be cute, you got to throw in Black Magic in here too, then, because they're Aussie too. So yeah, that's and yeah. So what is it with those Aussies? And also, if you're into the
thank you very
converter
much.
boxes,
You've just described my hardware.
And if you're familiar with the spider of all SDI to HDMI converters, let's see if Hershey knows who I'm talking about. They're red, and everybody on YouTube, let's guess. If anybody's on YouTube still, let's guess what that is. Oh, let's see if I get John doing this too. This might be interesting.
Interactivity.
Interactivity. And honestly, I'm not talking about Black Magic, even though everybody on Google, including Google, wants me to go to Black Magic. I'm not talking about Black Magic.
I mean, there was also 810 or 8. Well, not 810, but like
AJA.
Aja. Yeah, okay. It's AJA.
Yeah, Aja again is
and then 810, but it's like
world.
it's 810 the company name, not the BMD Blackmagic Design.
Yeah.
Sony.
Oh,
are
you giving up on me? Oh, Sony.
Oh, that's Japan, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just confirming with myself. There it is. Yeah, I've got it. All right. I'm just making sure that I remember it. They are called, and I will show it on screen here from our Aussie friends. Oh, just give me a sec here. That did some weird stuff. All right, there we go. Let's see if our audience got it yet on YouTube. Nope, they haven't as of yet. All right. So here's the official answer. Coming to screen. Decimator.
Decimator. Okay.
Familiar with those?
The HXs.
Yeah. The MDLXs and exactly. The mini converters.
Yeah. I've never seen one in person or color. So, but yeah, Decimator, I guess that's where they're from. Yeah. It's a good product. I hear you should keep one in your bag at all times.
Yes, especially their cross converts. Yeah, the MD.
Yeah, the MDS crosses. Yep, the crosses.
Yep. Yeah. Which is Hershey's talking about specifically this one for everybody on YouTube. Yeah, the MDHX. Yeah.
And then the cross does I forget what added bonus, because that's Courtney Gooden's choice on office hours. That's what he likes, a cross instead of the other one. The HX.
Instead of the bidirectional?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, the cross again is a Army Swiss knife, as you can see on screen. It basically will take any SDI in or HDMI in and do, it can be used in any particular situation. So SDI in to HDMI and SDI out, SDI in to SDI out, and HDMI in to HDMI out. All can be done at the same time, or SDI in and to SDI out and scaled SDI in to HDMI out. So that's just one of the 14. Yeah. And so there's another 9 to go different
And
scenarios.
I guess the version or the reason why this is also a good thing is it's hardware doing it for you compared to
Correct.
software.
Yeah, correct. So this is an actual hardware conversion device as compared to bringing it in digitally, like bringing it from analog to digital and then going back to digital, back to analog, depending on your setup. So it's not a capture card.
The things we
It's a
learn on
converter.
Zoom Test Kitchen.
That's right. It's a, yeah.
Which is why I have a Blackmagic Extreme ISO, so I can bring in
Is it a
8
G2?
video feeds, shuffle them, and have not used any processing power to choose what I give.
Right. Is that the G2 you have or Gen 1?
No, it's not the G2.
No,
G2
it's not
feels
the
so
G2.
nice. It feels nice. I got to see it.
It doesn't matter to me for what I'm using it for because I'm just super
Right.
sourcing it.
Right.
So
At least you have one. We'll call it a
yeah,
day. And then you
yeah,
don't
and I
use
saved
balance
myself-
outs and stuff. So because the other one
I
I think
saved
is
myself
balanced.
$400, didn't I? Because I
Yes.
think the G2 is more expensive now, isn't it?
The G2 is more expensive now, yes.
Yeah.
And again, depending on who you are, I know when it came out, Robert said, oh, it's got XLR. Yes, it does.
Yes, the audio. It's for the audio heads.
Yeah, everybody just wants to throw out their first gen just because they want XLR connectors. And I'm telling you, you hear me every week on an 810 Mini Pro, and I'm using a 3.5 bringing in my audio. So just telling you, it can be done without any line noise. It can be done. You just got to have good cables. And we're going back to the beginning of the show again. And Hershey, you might have missed this. Where David was having problems with USB dongles on his new Mac.
Wonderful. And
Again,
and they just stopped
it's-
making dongles, right? That's what I heard.
Well, that, and on top of the fact that too, that not every cable is rated to do the right thing. As we were talking about, where some cables are actually active cables versus passive cables, believe it or not, there is such a thing. It's amazing what they can actually fit at the actual end of an actual USB connector, how the chip will sit
It
in
must
there.
be a cable kind of day because this came up earlier today. The same question. Somebody I forget who broke down the Andy Savage, I think it was, but they x-rayed or took the whole cable and you could see how the Apple cable is made basically. $120
Okay, so
USB.
that's so
cable.
that's where that comment was coming from.
Yeah, so
today.
it's just it's been a cable kind of day, and you know what's really interesting, even as far as brands are concerned, Belkin's been in there so long, but now it's like we don't really need you per se, but you could still stay.
Yeah, again, unfortunately, with Belkin, they've market share of Belkin is deteriorated for them.
Yeah.
And that is partially been their fault because they've decided to, again, reduce their quality. Like a lot of the Ethernet cables that I've got running in the studio right now are actually over 20-year-old Belkins, but no issues. But I would not want to buy a brand new Belkin because I just won't.
Wow, interesting.
Because the difference in
the quality control of their goods.
Yeah, of their goods, because of the fact that they become more of a name now than they are, with air quotes, more than they've actually been, in the cable world now.
Because I mean, even we talk Windows vMix, for example, or Android or Apple, to have HDMI to USB-C cable, if you get it from Apple, I mean, you're not going to have a problem on a Samsung phone or a Pixel phone for that matter. But it's the quality of input output, what's going through that cable. Is it just power only, or is it a data cable? So, I mean, there is a lot of science to it, I guess, too.
Right, exactly. And this takes me to my day job, which I get to actually use here momentarily, which is that not all cables are rated, quotation marks, very important, and certified. There's another word that I love using on my day job every day, certified and rated for what you want to use them for. So your mileage will vary Amazon Basics cables, you will get what you pay for. Let's put it that way. So they were, Lois had brought up, would I buy a $300 cable or a $30 cable? I might not buy a $300 cable. I might buy a $30 cable, but I might not buy a $3 cable. Just because.
What would you buy for an extension? Let's say if you want to have an extender to like IEMs or something.
So
a female to male.
Yeah. So again,
extender.
Yeah. So everybody, just so that acronyms are being flown.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
in-ear monitor.
So in-ear monitors. If you did need an additional length for IEM, again, it would be depend on the IEM connector. Would be my official answer, because not all IEM connectors are made equally, depending on the brand. So that is going to be number one. So if it was a Sennheiser or a Shure or any of the big brands, I would stick with their extension cables 100%. Why? Because if it doesn't work, there better be a good reason that a Sennheiser doesn't work with a Sennheiser cable, right? But when you start going third party or into the non-brand market, your quality will vary. But I'm not saying that you won't find that lemon out there that'd be like, oh, this cable is even better than Sennheisers or Shures or this. Yes, you will find them. But again, it all comes down to knowing your rating, knowing what you want the cable to do, and don't assume that a USB-C cable is going to be a Thunderbolt cable. Don't assume a USB 3.2, USB-C 3.2 cable. Let me do this right. A USB-C 3.2 port will be able to use a USB-C 3.1, even though it's the same connector, and you'll get the same speed. Because again, that USB 3.0 or 3.1, USB-C 3, so many acronyms of USB-C, it's killing me.
3.1 and 3.2, which is USB-C, yes.
Right, yeah. So if you're using one of those two, you can plug in a 3.1 into a 3.2 port, but you won't get the bandwidth. Why? Because the rating and the cable has not been certified for the amount of bandwidth that 3.2 needs. That's why it's a 3.1 cable in the end. So yes, don't just buy a USB-C cable because it's a USB-C cable at both ends. And that's just as bad as people buying a 3.5 millimeter or an eighth of an inch, depending on our American friends, connector to an eighth of an inch connector, and all of a sudden, Mike, how come it's humming? Because there's probably cheap connectors. And you paid how many dollars for it? $5? Okay, yeah. Well, the cable that I'm using here is going dual XLR into my 3.5 millimeter, aka quarter inch or eighth of an inch plug on the back of the 810 Mini Pro, but it's also a $30 cable.
Yeah, I'm using Angry Audios. You could detach it, hooked up by magnets, kind of thing.
Right. Oh, okay. So you're using that. Yeah. David did show that back in the day. That was an office hours suggestion for you to do that. And all of a sudden, so it allows you to run away from your desk.
Most of the time.
Again, mileage will vary. Again, my brain being for my day job would be, I know where the first fault is going to be. It's going to be that magnet. So, and I've also seen David do an awesome job of pulling out that cable accidentally when he's walking away too, where the magnet is strong enough that he's also pulling that unit with him as he leaves the desk. So,
whoops, you didn't install it properly, David.
Correct. Yes, that would be correct. So the magnet didn't
super glue,
disconnect
then
as it
put
should
your
have.
interface down.
Yeah. So the magnet did not disconnect properly. It did its job and connected.
Great.
But again, the more I could see that being a weak point where eventually the magnet will be used too much to the point where a magnet will only last as long as the magnet will last. Again, depending on the quality of the magnet that they put in there. But if the cable is not that expensive, then chances are it's not that expensive of a magnet in there either. So again, your mileage will vary when it comes to IEM cables. But again, if you're going eighth of an inch to an eighth of an inch, that's a different scenario for IEMs. Most of the IEMs that I deal with and our dealers deal with are all the Shure, Sennheiser, AKG,
So
Electron.
it's basically eighth to quarter.
So they are, for the most part, they are 1/8 of an inch, sometimes locking, sometimes not.
Like Shore
Again,
has them locking, I think, if I remember correctly.
yeah. And then there are, again, if you have IEMs too, you have to make sure that you get the proper cable. That's why you want to make sure when you do get expensive IEMs, especially if they're the ones that are molded to your ears, that you do have a replaceable cable. So you have that capability of having multiple cables depending on the receiver. I did that right. That you are plugging into of the
Right.
IBM into your earbuds.
Right. Good talk. Good talk. The kitchen's still kicking. And if
The
anyone else
kitchen
has
is still rocking.
questions,
I still see the fire. Is that fire over there or is that smoke? No, we're not sending smoke from Canada today for Jason's comment on last week. But we're trying not to anyways. Mother Nature's doing a good job of sending it down to you. All right. On that note, we'll do our infamous stinger one more time for our audience on YouTube. So, oh, that's a decimator. Yes, I know. Let's try that again. All right. Hit that button and I promise. There we go. If you have any quick questions for us before we disappear for this week's show of the Zoom Test Kitchen, you gotta remember which show I'm on, John. Hilarious. And make sure that you let us know in chat and I will relay it to John is still here, Rashid is still here, and maybe even Tony Mobley. I know Tony is definitely listening to us in the background if he's. So let us know in chat. So it sounds like your setup is coming along, Hershid. I saw you at a restaurant.
that was a phone.
Eat the pizza.
Oh man, that pizza is so good. I always like that pizza, a specific place. Try to put stuff together as I can. I'm still trying to figure out a whole mobile rig. So I have Pixel 9 Pro. I have a Samsung S22 Ultra. I don't think it makes sense to run Zoom and record off of that and that.
No.
So that's leave that alone. And then I have Blackmagic Design camera app, but I haven't really learned it per se or know it enough to make damage with exposure, white balance, all of that. If I get some guidance, maybe I can make presets, one for indoors, one for outdoors.
Yeah, again, it would depend on the lighting in there, would be my answer to you on that. So again, I would actually do a little due diligence and actually install a light meter app on your phone as well.
Okay.
So that you could actually find out what the actual, what Kelvin and such is being used.
So I would
in the
rather,
actual
okay,
restaurant.
so understand the Kelvin aspects of it. Okay. Yeah.
Don't trust a human. All right, because
Yeah.
a human
Especially
will
a blind
go,
one, sorry.
it's bright, because they'll compare it with the daylight outside, and if it's overcast or it's bright sunshine, they're not going to make the connection. So don't.
So when
ask
you're
a human.
inside of a building like my room right now, so you turn on the meter, but you point at the source, let's say in front of me, then I'm getting kind of a readout to say, okay, 41, 40 something Kelvin. Is that kind of the idea?
Right.
Yeah,
So
you want
basically,
the
go ahead,
color
John.
and the brightness.
And would it spit out output on that?
Yeah. So basically,
It's a
John,
rabbit hole.
what I would do, Hershid, is, and again, this is what I did here in the studio, is I basically ended up doing this with my phone. I don't know if you can see that or not. I got my phone in front of my face.
Okay. Yeah.
And basically had the light meter on.
Mhm.
And then I figured that out. And then because of the cameras that I'm using,
Mhm.
I can actually go in the setting of the camera and actually set the Kelvin. So
Right. Like my lights right now are set up to 4100 in front of me.
Right.
And my camera is set to 4400 Kelvin. So that way it gives it about that 300, what is it, stops or whatever, between that 300 gap of giving you guys this color.
Right. And again, and again, you will notice that with the Blackmagic app, because it allows you to do that. And again, of course, it likes iPhones more than the Google Pixel, but it still can be used. But again, I would do a quick light meter app of that when you're already set up for your interview. So
that's go under balance and change that balance to that is what.
Right.
that
So
that component is.
Yeah, so I'd already set up everything that your camera would need color-wise, setting-wise ahead of time.
So that's a hue saturation. That's the exposure. So turning off exposure, maybe leaving it at halfway, 50%, probably.
Probably. Again, all phone dependent, right? All
Okay.
camera dependent on the phone, right?
Okay. Mhm.
And then once you've got that that's dialed in, then
Right.
your last minute stuff would be, okay, what is the actual light going to be? Instead of, again, if you were in an interview type of scenario in production world, you would have the guy running around. He wouldn't be running around with a phone. He'd be running around with a light meter, right? And all of a sudden getting all the different angles of, okay, this camera's coming in from this way. Okay, then I'm pointing at the camera, right? And I'm going, okay, so that one's actually going to be that. So that camera's actually going to get that one because it's not 4,000. Oh, it's saying it's 4,000 for that camera, but that camera
Right.
here in front of me is saying it's 4,500, and that one's saying it's 4,200.
Right.
Making sure that everybody,
So just match them all to 42, let's just say, and
right,
right.
and
Okay.
yeah. So come up with a happy medium for all the cameras that you have in your shoot,
Right.
and then hard code it into the actual camera so that they're there,
Mhm.
and then that's where you'll get, that's what I've done here in the lighting I'm using in here, as I've shown John, and I've shown many in the living room, aka after show of Zoom Test Kitchen, is that I'm using, I'm not even close to spending $100 for our lighting. I think I spent that entirely for both lights that are lighting me right now.
Right.
But I've taken the time to make sure that I've got my light meter on my phone. I sat it here. I figured out what it actually will be without me sitting here too. I did that with
Right.
myself sitting here and without me sitting
With
here.
and with. Right.
Right. And taking the best numbers that I could there and got the camera as close as I could, depending on the settings that it has, and then set it there. And again, of course, too, I'm doing a good job of making sure that I'm using cool white versus warm white, right?
Mhm,
Warm
mhm.
white, bad. And 9 times out of 10, you will go into fluorescent restaurants, as we take the pizza scenario
Yeah.
where you did that. So basically, I would have everybody sitting in the booth where you'd be sitting across from that person in the booth.
Right.
And that could be easily a 3-camera shoot.
Right.
There.
So for that quality of that pizza that restaurant, I mean,
Yeah.
average, good enough. What was that
Dark.
like to you? Dark. Okay.
Dark. Lighting wise, dark.
But the restaurant was
again,
dark itself, so yeah.
That's
There's that
right.
too.
That's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
like John mentioned, oh yeah, we have lots of light in the restaurant. Yeah, enough to see.
Right.
Not necessarily any more or any less.
So for
But
that
but cameras
exposure
love-
should have been knocked up, or
That would have been where if you had the Blackmagic app, I would have dialed it in a little more to match the room.
in which area? You could, like, is that exposure or is that balance or?
Well, it would have depended if in your running gun scenario, that's a little different. If you're a sitting scenario, that's different again, right? So in a sitting scenario, I would have hard coded the numbers. In a moving scenario, it's kind of difficult because then you're going into from light to dark to light to dark to light to dark, depending on the type of lighting you've got above you, unless you've got somebody that's,
whoever's
gonna be
holding the
behind you
camera was
lighting
steady,
all the time,
so
right?
they were holding my camera, and I was just walking up. So to me,
Right.
the audio is what was more important. But
Right.
see.
But when it comes to the lighting of it, because you're doing the walk up and you're walking through the
Right.
actual scenario, is a lot of them will actually, that's where they have the rig where they actually have an additional light to get at least some sort of continuity on the
of the person that's walking through it,
right.
Right.
Lighting wise. Yeah.
Right.
Now,
And
what
just like a
they'll
little-
do sometimes at these restaurants, if you want to get into more restaurant reviews, is you're bringing your own kit with you, right?
So what
you're
is it,
bringing
like a
your own lights
paddle
and such.
tube or something, like a small?
No, I wouldn't necessarily even need to go that high expensive.
Okay.
It would turn out to be more of what becomes more your friend is gels,
Okay.
because that's actually what I'm using quite a lot in here. That's why you'll see my forehead is borderline almost too shiny, but it's dull enough because the lights have gels in front of them. So I'm taking the harshness of the actual, I think I'm set at 5,000 right now. And I'm taking a little bit of the harshness out by using the gel because I'm bouncing more. Right? I'm not spotlighting myself.
Right.
To use a Zoom term, going back to Zoom quickly. I'm not spotlighting myself with the lights. I am bouncing the lights, right? So I'm making the room around me brighter, right? I'm not making me
Well,
bright.
if any of y'all want to ever come to Florida, be my guest, please. I might be blind, but I know my directions. Ask Ray.
Which Ray? Ray Franklin. I'm going to go Ray Franklin. Yeah. Okay.
He's picked me up before, and he's like, we go to a restaurant, and it's like, Ray, are we going the right way? Why did we make a left? He looks at me. He's like, seriously? Blind guy's going to tell me that he was going the wrong way. But since he's our friend.
And was he? No, we want to know. Zoom Test Kitchen wants to know, was he going the wrong way?
Yes, he was.
There you go. See, here we go.
So
there we
I
go.
was like, we had to make a right, not a left. And when I went to Infocom, that was my first trade show. So knowledge, why does this blind guy keep showing up? I call myself that out because it is what it is. So I'm not afraid of what I am, who I am. And Infocom wise, I get to same thing happen. A friend of mine picked me up. Hey, don't worry about GPS. I know where I'm going. He just looks at me with this weird look. And I'm like, yeah, just make a right. Okay, you'll see I-4 merging up. Okay, go on I-4. All right, now make a right at the next exit. And he's just like, we made a left when we got the exit. I didn't know where the hotel was. So that was one little issue, but got him to the hotel, got him to Infocom and back home. So you never know. You never know who you meet and how you might interact with them. So keep an open mind.
That's right. And that's right. In this industry,
yes.
And this is one big thing that I've always taken into consideration too. This industry that I'm in day job wise, outside of Zoom, is actually very, very small. And if you, how can I put this, as John would say politely, if you do a good job of burning britches, there we go. Johnny, was that a good one?
Don't burn the bridges. Like
burning britches. I could go worse, and I'll keep it G-rated. But burning bridges with fellow people in the industries, you will get blacklisted very quickly. So definitely something to always keep in mind, that it's best to. Oh, John likes it. Burning bridges. Oh, burning bridges. That's even better. Yeah, burning bridges. Yeah. Don't want to be burning bridges. That's not pretty either. That's true. But
the phrase is burning bridges, because if you burn the bridge, you can't go back. Don't know what burning bridges stops you doing, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah, bridges. That's right. That would be that's right. I got that from an old US movie. That's right. Burning bridges. Well, again, you will be burning your bridges too. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's hilarious. I went the wrong. Yeah. But John knew what I was talking about. That's why John and I are good on the Lord Zoom Lounge.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday.
Gotta check that out soon.
That's right.
Yeah, you should, because you would be a good volunteer to come and join us for an episode sometime to talk about the issues that you have.
Let's see what is going on this Tuesday. I could do it this Tuesday and the following Tuesdays.
Sorry, I don't have any dates available until
No. I'm just saying I want to come check it out. I definitely want to come check it out.
Come and check it out. And if you miss it, then
what time of day
tends
is it?
To appear on YouTube afterwards.
Is it around the same time as Zoom Test Kitchen kind of timings, or?
John, what are we Eastern time? 2:00?
Yeah, I think it's either 2:00 or 3:00. I can't remember because
I've
got 3 different shows and I've ended up with 3 different times for each one, which is just really annoying. But I had to make because I've got a deep dive Mondays.
Deep dive Wednesdays and Tuesdays a Lord show.
Tuesdays Lord Zoom Live, just chat. Mike and I just look at something objectively, so trying not to get into the weeds and just objectively talk about things. And then I've got a coding one on Wednesday for the Zoom developers as well.
Fantastic. Any world from the coding dev world with I come in here, I'm captioning, come in here, I get sent to the jail. I come in here, any new coding things?
Well, we're talking about Zoom API and
Okay.
write code for Zoom and that sort of stuff, really.
Any of your tools, anything making traction, like your jail for, when I got
I
sent.
don't want to be unpopular, so I don't want my jail to be that too successful because it'll just me. Now they know I've got a questionnaire one, which if you don't question, you get kicked. Actually, there's a trick to that app. You don't have to install it. You just tell people you've got it. It's amazing what reaction level you get in your feedback. If they actually think they're going to be kicked,
availability.
Then they if you think it's a bluff, just put a fake person in the room and kick them. That works a treat as well.
Very good, very good. Well, I hope we all keep our etiquettes and hope that we don't have any other questions out there in the Zoom land of the Test Kitchen. But it's been a pleasure being here, and I'll see what happens with this upload whenever I get it going after the show here, and we'll see if they both got popped up in a spotlight or not. We'll just wait and see.
Cool. There's a good segue to wrap it up again for a week, and we'll be back again next week. Next week is just an FYI. Next week, we will not have a special guest, but the following week, August 29th, mark it here, 3 p.m. Eastern, Josh Bragg from Zoom Events, Zoom Sessions, will be here live August 29th, 3 p.m. Eastern. So do check that out. So on that note, there's a quick little segue into time to wrap it up for this week's show. And I'm going to use the stinger. On that note, gang, I will be playing our karaoke time of the show. So here we go. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with these. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No We're the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No
All right, no wreck. Hopefully everybody out there on Zoom Test Kitchen land, we're doing the karaoke version of our theme. Thanks everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to let that infamous YouTube algorithm know how much you love our content. And also let Zoom know as well how much you love our content. So don't forget, we're here every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And next week, as I said, will be a regular edition of Zoom Test Kitchen. And the following week, August 29th, Josh Bragg will be here from Zoom events, Zoom sessions to spend the whole Zoom Test Kitchen crew with us, Zoom Test Kitcheners, to answer questions. And he might even have some interesting info for us too. So everybody on YouTube, take care, and we'll see you next week on the Zoom Test Kitchen. Bye, YouTube.